Hello, everybody, and welcome to Forever Motorsport on Forever Sports. For today's guide on how you can watch the Saudi Arabia Grand Prix on a free-to-air broadcaster this weekend, so you don't miss any of the Formula One action. We saw a pretty electrifying start in the first race with Max Verstappen obviously already demonstrating how dominant he could potentially be this season, but a very big surprise pole for Fernando Alonso, and I think that Aston Martin is going to be quite a lot of fun to monitor this season. And the biggest thing is you don't want to miss any of the action. So this is how you can watch. Now, it is being shown on a free-to-air broadcaster called ORF, which is on an Austrian broadcaster, which means if you are in Austria, then you can watch it without any issues. However, if you are not in Austria, then you can't watch it, but yet you can. And we're going to be using something called a VPN, which is a virtual private network, to be able to watch all the action this weekend. And basically, what you're going to do is you're going to download ExpressVPN. All the links for everything you need are in the description. There's literally a step-by-step guide on what you need to do to be able to watch all the action. So first things first, you're going to download ExpressVPN, you're going to install it. And when you pop it up, it's going to look something like this. So right now, I'm connected to an Austrian server. So on the bottom right-hand side there, you can see these are there's three little dots over here. When you click over those, they bring up a little bar which has all the different location stuff like that. You see like that, there it is. And you can scroll down and you can go to all locations over here. You can go to filter by all the various continents and you can go and find the right one. So we're going to connect to Austria. So because I'm connected right now, I can now currently watch ORF TV, which is an Austrian free broadcaster. And as you can see over here, this is it already in the program. This is it being scheduled on Sunday, being shown on the channel itself. And then what you're going to do is you're going to go to the channel, which is over here. And unfortunately, it doesn't pick up the actual video, but it is currently playing. So if I unmute, for example, you can hear what's going on over here. There's kind of a skiing happening. But what happens over here is if, for example, I'm just going to mute that for a bit. If we then turn off our VPN, and we're going to then refresh the page. So we've now turned off the VPN, and you can see it's already not working. It's already stopped working, basically. And if we then refresh the page, you can see there it says it's not available in this region. So basically, to be able to disable that, you just have to reconnect to Austria within your VPN, and you'll be able to watch all the action live this weekend. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments below. But as I said, this is there's a step-by-step description or step-by-step guide in the description, so you should be absolutely fine.
Hello everybody and welcome to Forever Motorsports. We have finally got pictures of the Las Vegas Grand Prix for the 2023 season. Of course, the first time we're ever going to Las Vegas, and what a circuit this is looking like it's going to be. Hopefully going to be one of the best races of the calendar. Certainly going to be very, very good to watch. Of course, going to be one of the night races, and we know what that Las Vegas Strip looks like already, and now we're going to be racing through it. It should be an absolute spectacle to go and watch, and we've just got pictures of it here, and we're just going to go through the pictures here as well. And Reese, just talk us through some of the things that we're going to be seeing in this track as well.
Yes, so this track obviously goes through the center of Las Vegas Boulevard. It goes down, I think it is Frank Sinatra Boulevard is the name of the street, which is where their long main straight is. Just some stats about the circuit. Is going to be 3.8 miles long, 6.1 kilometers, with 17 corners and a 1.9 kilometer main straight. That is going to provide
very long main straight.
That's going to provide some great overtaking opportunities for sure. It is going to be about 50 laps long, the entirety of the race. And just looking at some of these renders, it is going to look absolutely spectacular under the lights in the evening there in Las Vegas.
And as you can see, just it might be just hidden a little bit behind me here. But the text there goes and says, the new MSG Sphere, due to open in September, will be a huge landmark on the circuit. Now, you see that big thing there on the picture there? That is something that's being built right now, and it's going to feature in that race, which is going to be so awesome to see. Because, I mean, look at what it looks like in the visuals here. And I'm sure in real life and for the Grand Prix, it will look even more incredible. It is very much, I think, the pinnacle of what Grand Prix is supposed to be with regards to just proper flash, class, money, the whole thing, just glamour, glitz and glamour, and you don't get many places in the world better than that as you do in Las Vegas, of course. And we talk about the circuit itself. As to whether or not we just look there at the Las Vegas circuit there again. So you see, we've got all the major landmarks in this race here, of course. But notably, as you said, is the straights. Look at how it's possible that you're going to have really, really, really long straights. It's going to be a very, very quick track and lots of overtaking opportunities, hopefully.
Yes, we can see as well that there's not too many like very abrupt chicanes, which allow the cars obviously to follow closer with these long, winding corners. It's going to definitely provide some great overtaking opportunities, that is for sure. Just taking a look at it there by that MSG sphere, that could also be a great overtaking opportunity in that long left-hander.
Yes. I mean, it's just quite interesting to look at how the circuit has been put into that Las Vegas strip. It's really going to stop Las Vegas for that weekend, because look at all the major landmarks it goes right by. Of course, we've got Treasure Island, the Mirage, Caesar's Palace, the Bellagio Hotel, the High Roller, Las Vegas Boulevard, of course, going there, the Venetian, and now the new MSG Sphere, which is being built as well. I mean, it's a really, really, like, it's right in the middle of Las Vegas. You cannot get out of it. And we're going past some of the biggest landmarks, not just in Las Vegas, but in the world, of course, with regards to these places. So what a race we've hopefully got in store for us. And what's also noting, interestingly here, is the fact that it is a anti-clockwise circuit.
Yes, we don't see too many of those. Obviously, one of the main ones that we have that is an anti-clockwise circuit is Azerbaijan, as well as the Brazilian Grand Prix track. But let's hope that this is certainly going to provide some interesting racing for us. Obviously, very exciting for the likes of Logan Sargent, who is an American race car driver joining the sport this year. It would be great for him to have the Las Vegas Grand Prix on the calendar.
Yeah. And I mean, we're not obviously increasing due to Drive to Survive. We obviously got a lot more American races. Well, Miami Circuit was joined last year in the last season. We've of course already got
Circuit of the
Americas, and now we've got Las Vegas joining that trio now. I mean, it's hopefully this is a better start than it was. I mean, Miami's actual racetrack was quite good. I think everybody quite enjoyed the racetrack. The problem that they had with it was how fake it was.
Yes.
In terms of having some really, really poor showings in terms of their yachting. What do we call it? The marina. Yeah.
Yes. Unfortunately, there's only so much you can do in a car park or parking lot. So, I mean, they definitely tried to make it the spectacle that Formula One has. But let's see what this Las Vegas Grand Prix can give to us. For sure, it is going to be one of the most spectacular tracks and spectacular races of the season.
Yeah, so that's the Las Vegas Grand Prix, of course, later in the season, quite a bit to go until then, but the first pictures, of course, released, and we did show you them there. Very, very keen to see how that Grand Prix goes. So, guys, thank you very much. It's been Reese, I've been Mark, and you've been watching Forever Motorsports. We hope to see you soon. Goodbye.
Yeah, I don't think I would personally swap out either driver. Carlos Sainz has been a brilliant supporting role, and we've seen him win races as well. I think if you had to bring Lewis Hamilton into that team, it would certainly mess with the dynamic of the number one and number two driver. It would definitely cause a lot of friction, not only off track, but on track as well. As Lewis Hamilton is obviously such a strong character off track, as well as very competitive on track. So it would definitely stir the pot quite a lot there, Ferrari, which I don't think they necessarily need right now.
Yes. And we talk about Ferrari, we carry on. We say, why have a students completely convinced Ferrari check if this is working? There we go. Just looking at that Ferrari, of course, Charles Leclerc had a bit of a problem there, not able to in that race. But we then go and look at the news here, and it says the new team boss, Frederic Vasseur, of course, says he has full confidence in the squad's ability to challenge Red Bull as the F1 season develops, despite their rivals starting 2023 in such a dominant style. Max Verstappen led home teammate Sergio Perez in last weekend's opener for a comfortable 1-2 finish with third place Aston Martin of Fernando Alonso, some 38 seconds adrift. Meanwhile, the lead Ferrari of Carlos Sainz and lead Mercedes of Lewis Hamilton crossed the finish line almost a minute behind as both drivers battled with tyre degradation. It compounded an already difficult day for the Scuderia, who lost Charles Leclerc in the closing stages due to an unspecified power unit problem, raising questions over their readiness to challenge for title glory. So, Vasseur has highlighted Ferrari's pace in qualifying as a reason to be optimistic moving forward, given that Leclerc lapped just a tenth slower than Verstappen on the first Q3 runs before opting against another lap to save tyres. Asked if he has faith that Ferrari's current car can be developed to challenge Red Bull in the coming races, given Mercedes' plans to go radical with future updates, Vasseur stated, "I'm convinced, completely convinced about this. I never saw a car able to match the pace of another one in quali and not be able to be in that race. It's a matter of setup and some choices on the car. It's not a matter of concept at all." I mean, that's a huge thing.
Well, no, of course, we've seen that Ferrari is so dominant. I don't think there's anything wrong with the concept fundamentally. I think it's just, as Vasseur says, some setup changes. I mean, Max Verstappen and Red Bull obviously still not 100% happy with their setup in Bahrain. So they could also possibly be quite a lot faster. But I think if Ferrari, Carlos Sainz, that car into the sweet spot, they could also be extremely competitive. I mean, we saw, we heard that over the winter season, winter break, they were able to fix the issues that they had in 2022 with their engine. They were able to unlock another 30 horsepower. Obviously, this isn't affected by the engine freeze, as they've been turning down their engine throughout 2022 for reliability. Then seemingly over the winter break, they were able to fix that. But then in Bahrain, they had another reliability issue. So is it going to be a factor that they're going to have to turn those engines down again? That could certainly affect them throughout this year. If they're able to get to the bottom of that, that could help them be more competitive again as well.
Now, I just want to finish up looking a little bit at this article here. And it says, Vasseur also pointed to 2023 being the longest campaign in F1 history, with 22 more races still to come between now and the season finale in Abu Dhabi in November. He is, though, naturally keen to understand their performances and reliability issues as quickly as possible, in a similar vein to Red Bull when they encountered technical woes early last year. Start with a DNF, and I would have preferred to finish like Red Bull for sure, he said. He joined Ferrari from midfield runners Alfa Romeo over the winter. But now I want to stay consistent in my position. I told the team before the test in Bahrain 2 weeks ago that the championship won't be over in Bahrain. Doesn't matter the result in any case. It was true for the winter test, and it's true for the first race. The most important thing now is to be able to have a clear picture of the situation, where we are failing, do a proper analysis of this, and to come back stronger as soon as possible. So, Ferrari, of course, sit currently fourth behind Aston Martin, Mercedes, and Red Bull. So, another thing I'd like to talk about when it comes to Ferrari is if you look at last season as an indicator for possibly, which you can't really, but nonetheless, I'm going to do it. I'm going to speculate. I'm going to say, Ferrari last season started very well. They were leading Red Bull quite convincingly in those first opening few races, and then dropped off. That's when the reliability issues started hitting a lot more and things. Whereas Red Bull started poorly, of course, 2 DNFs in the same race, and they quickly tried to fix their reliability issues and then went back into it. Do you think Ferrari could do the same thing?
I know Ferrari are going to fight it out throughout the entirety of the season. They are not going to give up after the first race, as Vasseur has said. I mean, it's only the first race. Sure, you've had a little bit of a reliability issue. Same as last year, Max Verstappen was out in the first race, went on to take the World Championship. Obviously, you can't try correlate last season with this season. It's completely different. I mean, but one of the most interesting aspects is that, of course, Red Bull are not able to develop their car as much this year. They may have gotten off to a very good start, but the other teams are able to catch up a lot easier through development this year.
And of course, now that everybody's seen that Red Bull in that first race, they're going to look to the things that it did right, and they're going to look at Aston Martin as well and say, well, what did you do right? Because you're in a similar budget to us as well. And they're going to look at that and say, hey, that's what we're going to do. And hopefully what we will see is some more competitive racing as the season carries on. I do think a lot of people are making assumptions about the season very early, including us, let's be honest. Yeah, but
everyone does.
But of course, we've got the longest season coming for forever. We've never had such a long season in F1. 22 races still to go, not just one. 22 races still to go. Lots and lots can happen in that time. And hopefully what we see is Mercedes fix somehow. They've created drastic fix. They said they're going to do drastic things. Hopefully they do. Ferrari will hopefully fix reliability issues and maybe try and improve on the track in terms of the tire degradation problems they had. And we'll see Aston Martin maybe even still improving and challenging even Red Bull right at the top. It could really turn into one hell of a season to watch.
Yes, for sure. And I mean, obviously, we have the Saudi Grand Prix this weekend. Very exciting. If you are able to, please do join us in all of our live streams. We will be going live for every session, including practice 1, 2, 3, qualifying, and the race on Sunday. But just back to you now, Mark. Who do you think will be competitive out in Saudi on Saturday and Sunday?
Well, I think it will likely be another Red Bull 1-2. Let's be honest, Red Bull had no issues whatsoever in Bahrain. There was not a single thing they were concerned about. Bahrain was as perfect as you could possibly ask. The only thing they have to get through is basically the start of the race. If they can avoid any collisions, I back Red Bull to get another 1-2. But it's be interesting to see how much closer the race is, of course, because it's a much more challenging track than Bahrain. It's a lot more twisty. It's a lot more narrow in some sections as well. It's quite a difficult track in comparison. So we look at the other teams and we think, well, let's see what Ferrari and what Aston Martin can do in that track. I don't think it's way too soon for Mercedes to rapidly turn that around, but hopefully Mercedes can somewhat, get some good testing done essentially this weekend with regards to how they can change their car. So I'm saying Red Bull 1-2 and Fernando Alonso in 3 again. I reckon that'll be the same thing again, but I reckon both Ferraris will be in 4 and 5.
Yes, well, I think we'll just have to wait and see what happens, obviously, this weekend. Obviously, practice 1 will be a good indicator. Obviously not for Mercedes, as they will probably be doing some testing. We should see a lot of aero being tested on that Mercedes, not only in practice 1, probably in practice 2 and practice 3. But it should certainly be a very exciting weekend to watch. Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, obviously such a great race. We saw last year how close some of those cars were able to race. So hopefully we will be seeing the Ferraris and Mercedes, or Ferrari and Red Bulls, and possibly those Aston Martins all fighting it out for P1.
Hello everybody and welcome to Forever Motorsport on Forever Sports. For today's guide on how you can watch the Saudi Arabia Grand Prix on a free-to-air broadcaster this weekend, so you don't miss any of the Formula 1 action. We saw a pretty electrifying start in the first race with Max Verstappen obviously already demonstrating how dominant he could potentially be this season, but a very big surprise pole for Fernando Alonso, and I think that Aston Martin is going to be quite a lot of fun to monitor this season. And the biggest thing is you don't want to miss any of the action, so this is how you can watch. Now, it is being shown on a free-to-air broadcaster called ORF, which is on an Austrian broadcaster, which means if you are in Austria, then you can watch it without any issues. However, if you are not in Austria, then you can't watch it, but yet you can. And we're going to be using something called a VPN, which is a virtual private network, to be able to watch all the action this weekend. And basically what you're going to do is you're going to download ExpressVPN. All the links for everything you need are in the description. There's literally a step-by-step guide on what you need to do to be able to watch all the action. So first things first, you're going to download ExpressVPN, you're going to install it. And when you pop it up, it's going to look something like this. So right now I'm connected to an Austrian server. So on the bottom right hand side there, you can see these are there's 3 little dots over here. When you click over those, they bring up a little bar which has all the different location stuff like that. You see like that, there it is. And you can scroll down and you can go to all locations over here. You can go to filter by all the various continents, and you can go and find the right one. So we're going to connect to Austria. So because I'm connected right now, I can now currently watch ORF TV, which is an Austrian free broadcaster. And as you can see over here, this is it already in the program. This is it being scheduled on Sunday, being shown on the channel itself. And then what you're going to do is you're going to go to the channel, which is over here. And unfortunately, it doesn't pick up the actual video, but it is currently playing. So if I unmute, for example, you can hear what's going on over here. There's kind of a bit of skiing happening. But what happens over here is if, for example, I'm just going to mute that for a bit. If we then turn off our VPN, and we're going to then refresh the page. So we've now turned off the VPN, and you can see it's already not working. It's already stopped working, basically. And if we then refresh the page, you can see there it says it's not available in this region. So basically, to be able to disable that, you just have to reconnect to Austria within your VPN, and you'll be able to watch all the action live this weekend. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments below. But as I said, this is there's a step-by-step description or step-by-step guide in the description, so you should be absolutely fine.
Hello everybody and welcome to Forever Motorsports on Forever Sports. It is the preview for the Saudi Arabia Grand Prix, the second Grand Prix of the 2023 season. And of course, lots to talk about in terms of what we saw in Bahrain and what we could hopefully expect in Saudi Arabia. Lots of news has happened since Bahrain, of course, and lots of talk about what teams are going to be doing coming into the weekend. As I say, in the Middle East, the Saudi Arabia, of course, a fantastic circuit, quite a bit tricky compared to Bahrain, and so it will certainly be a challenge for a lot of these cars. And hopefully, we shall see some different results compared to last time. I think it was very Red Bull orientated and dominated, which was very good for all Red Bull fans. But the rest of us, I think, the rest of us, in terms of the entire world, were also looking at us thinking, hopefully, other teams can sort of just improve immeasurably, because otherwise, we are just going to run away with Red Bull. So, one of the big talking points, of course, since the last Grand Prix is that of Mercedes.
Yes, obviously Mercedes publishing that letter saying that they obviously are apologizing for the first race of the Grand Prix of the season, saying they are not starting where they would once be starting. Really interesting to see Mercedes straight away from that first race, pretty much almost admitting defeat, really.
I know, pretty much admitting defeat before the season's even begun. And of course, the other interesting thing is that of Aston Martin's using the same engine as Mercedes, and yet they're doing a hell of a lot better than Mercedes. So for a team that's obviously a lot less funded and got far fewer resources than the likes of Mercedes, you do have to really wonder as to how they've managed to mess up so badly.
Well, yes, of course, you can't downplay Aston Martin. They've had a lot of backing from Lawrence Stroll, who's put a lot of money into that team. They've got a new wind tunnel coming online very soon. They've got a new factory as well that's coming online very soon. Definitely putting a lot into that team for the future. But yes, they've just had such a cracking start to the season. I mean, just doing so well in Bahrain. But yes, I think Mercedes are going to be very disappointed to have been beaten by a customer team, which is certainly not what we would be expecting in 2023.
Not at all. And we see here, there's an article here, and we go into it here from Hamilton, and it says, "I will win again." Hamilton says he maintains 100% belief in Mercedes as 7-time champ vows to fight back with the team, notably. Of course, a couple of rumours started up, and obviously not really taking them all too seriously, but basically about him possibly leaving Mercedes due to them not being very competitive. Nonetheless, we have an article from Lewis Hamilton saying he does pledge his commitment to Mercedes amid their ongoing performance struggles, describing the squad as his family and stressing that he doesn't plan to go anywhere else in search of success. So,
yes.
Big statement, of course.
Yes, well, Lewis has been with Mercedes for quite a couple of years now, so of course he's going to be very close with the team as well as a lot of the integral team members. So he's certainly made himself very comfortable there. He doesn't want to have to move on to a new team. If he can get that car working again, he'll be very happy to stay. But if they are not able to produce a race-winning car, he will, of course, start looking elsewhere, as he has the right to do. He's a 7-time world champion.
And the likes of George Russell, we think about George Russell now, he's arrived in this team thinking he's going to be a big shot, of course, and now Mercedes have really, delved lower than the likes of Ferrari and Aston Martin, and are hanging on to that 4th spot right now. You talk about the big 3, and they're not even currently in it. They fully concede that, as with their letter. They concede they're not even in the big 3. So, George Russell's having gone there. I mean, what does he now do?
Well, I think someone as young as George Russell, I think you just have to stick it out for a little bit. I mean, Mercedes has shown how strong they can be. They've been so dominant in the past couple of years. I don't think you can necessarily write them off so quickly. I think certainly they will get to the bottom of it. Hopefully this year. If not, then next year they have to make a complete design change, of course. But I don't think you can write Mercedes off that.
No. And, of course, the interesting thing is they basically said that they're going to continue redeveloping the car, basically, this entire season. They're just going to really try and get it to race pace. So surely that means they're going to can they make such a drastic decision as to add side pods back onto the car? Is that too much?
No. We've already seen from Toto Wolff, he's been speaking about a possible B-spec car, which we, as pundits, assume is a side pod version of their current car. Obviously, their current car that they're running has their zero side pod concept, which obviously, in the name, has no side pods. It just goes straight into the radiators. In theory, it should be a very, very fast car, but so far in practice, it just has not been able to bring race wins. It's only brought, obviously, one in Brazil last year, where they were starting to get to the bottom of it, but it just doesn't look like it is that strong again this year.
No. And, we carry on with this article with regards to Hamilton. We talk about Hamilton having been an interesting topic, of course. And it carries on here. It says, Hamilton is in his final year of his current Mercedes deal and has faced frustration at the season opening Bahrain Grand Prix, when the team found themselves 4th best behind Red Bull, Ferrari and Aston Martin. After the race, Hamilton told the BBC's Checkered Flag podcast that Mercedes didn't listen to him regarding the development of their 2023 car, which retained a unique zero side pod design, while plenty of rivals moved towards the Red Bull concept. Of course, that's keeping the side pods. And when asked about those comments, said if he determines to remain with Mercedes and get back to winning ways, Hamilton admitted, in hindsight, I think looking back, it wasn't necessarily the best choice of words. But, of course, there are times when you're not in agreement with certain team members. What's important is that we continue to communicate, we continue to pull together. So, again, another interesting point that we talked about is the fact that Hamilton clearly didn't seem to be all too keen on the zero side pods idea.
No, I think he would have been against it fairly quickly. In 2022, he would have been very vocal about the fact that the team has gone in one direction quite radically compared to everyone else on the grid. Every single other car on that grid has side pods, and they're the only team without them, and it's not working.
No.
So, of course, Hamilton's going to be critical of it.
Yeah. But as I say, still saying that he's gutsy and he's holding on to his team, and that he does firmly believe in working on the car. As he continues here, he says, I still have 100% belief in this team. It is my family, and I've been here a long time, so I don't plan on going anywhere else. But we all need a kick. We all need to get on. The proof is in the pudding. We've seen where the performance is, and how people are extracting the performance. We've got to now start making some bold decisions, some big moves in order to close the gap to these guys. Of course, then referring to Red Bull and their dominant 1-2 result in the season opener, Hamilton continued. Otherwise, they're going to, they will run away with it most likely this year, unless Ferrari can probably stop them. We'll wait and see. But as I said, hopefully at some point during the year, we're hopeful we might be able to close the gap. At some point, it will probably be too late in terms of fighting for a championship, but we can still turn some heads, hopefully. So lots of work for Mercedes to do, and basically conceding to the fact that they're not only worse than Red Bull, but that of Ferrari, and quite possibly even Aston Martin.
Yes, well, before the season started, I predicted that there might be a bit of a shuffle up if they didn't change that concept of the car. I said that possibly Aston Martin might kick them out of the top 3, and so far they have. Certainly very disappointing to see that Mercedes is not able to bring the fight to those top 3 teams. But let's see what happens. It's a very long season, 23 races in total. Only one race down still another 22 to go, so you never know what can happen.
No. And of course, then we talk about Aston Martin. It says, why am Aston Martin riding a high into Saudi Arabia and how they can keep that momentum up? Of course, then we've got Fernando Alonso smiling because he is as chuffed as a bunny at the moment to be with Aston Martin. Of course, leaving Alpine last year and coming into this Aston Martin team, he's basically joined one of the best teams on the grid automatically, and he didn't even necessarily recognize it. And he must be as chuffed as anything right now.
Yes, for sure. I mean, he's certainly taken over the reins from Sebastian Vettel. I mean, he's just landed his bum in the butter, really. He's landed himself into a possibly championship fighting team. I mean, it's certainly sad to think about what would have happened if Sebastian did stay in that team. I mean, could you imagine a Sebastian Fernando lineup? Obviously, you can't get rid of Lance Stroll. His dad owns the team.
I mean, get rid of him.
Well,
but I mean, so you talk about Aston Martin having, possibly would have had Vettel and Alonso. I mean, it's there are so many memes in the last week basically saying Vettel seeing Fernando Alonso get to enjoy this Aston Martin, which is so brilliant basically compared to their previous cars. And I would be very interested to know Seb's comments and if he would have stayed on had he known that the Aston Martin was going to be so powerful. Because I think one of the main reasons why he also gave up, well, not gave up, but ended his career early was two factors. Of course, that being he was tired. He wants to get on with other things, wants to get going with his life for the rest of it. And the other part of it might well have been, but he didn't tell everybody, was that he's not really going to be racing for a challenging team. So he doesn't really want to play around in the midfield and just kill his career off. He's had such an illustrious career.
Well, of course not. He's a four-time world champion. Of course, you're not going to want to sit in the midfield for years upon years. He did it in Ferrari, which was quite disappointing and embarrassing, really. Not too much on his side, but Ferrari really did not do very well with him, as well as they did not have many good decisions, unfortunately.
And on the flip side to that, then you have Alonso, now who's obviously taken the reins from Vettel, and he's basically said, well, I was fighting midfield for a few years, but now I'm back, and quite possibly, certainly putting his hand up as being the best driver on the grid, just in terms of his sheer experience. And you saw it in the Bahrain Grand Prix, how experienced and how insane some of those overtakes were. That overtake on Carlos Sainz was brilliant. I mean, one of the most difficult turns in the whole circuit, and he takes him there. It was insane.
Yes, I mean, of course, Fernando Alonso having so much experience out on track, not only in Formula One, but in IndyCar as well as World Endurance Championships. I mean, he almost won IndyCar a couple of years ago, the Indy 500, and then he has won World Endurance Championships while he has been away from Formula One. And then coming back into Formula One at, I think it was just, he's in his 40s, and still being able to fight with the youngsters. I mean, just shows how strong he is, not only mentally, but still physically at, I think, 45?
No, 41.
41,
Not quite as old as that. But yes, we read this article, as we said, talk about how dominant Aston Martin have been. And Aston Martin are doing their best to keep their feet planted to the ground after an impressive podium in the season opener. But there's a growing belief outside the team that the green cars will cause quite a stir consistently this year. When billionaire Lance Stroll entered Formula One and rebranded Racing Point as Aston Martin, he had one goal: to make the operation consistent World Championship contenders. And unfortunately, I can't read on, but nonetheless, it is certainly looking like that could possibly be the case. Of course, they're currently sitting second in the Constructors' Championship. Of course, Ferrari having had that retirement, and Charles Leclerc and Carlos Sainz only finishing behind Fernando Alonso. Both the Aston Martin cars finished in, I think it was respectively third and sixth or seventh. There was sixth, but nonetheless,
But I think one of the main things that we've seen from Aston Martin is that they're not scared to move away from a certain design concept that they'd come up with themselves. They're not scared to change to another team's design concept that works. I mean, we've seen in the Racing Point days where they would just completely change to a different team, reminiscing on the pink Mercedes. Now they are green Red Bull. It just shows sometimes it doesn't hurt to actually adopt another team's concept.
Yeah, and of course we're just under 20 hours away from the second Grand Prix in Saudi Arabia, and we've talked about Mercedes, we've talked about Aston Martin, and it's not much to talk about Red Bull. They're just going to rock up and basically say, cool, we know exactly what we're doing. We've got a fantastic car, probably the best car on the grid. We've got the best drivers on the grid. We've got the best team on the grid. they're just going to go about business as per usual. So Max Verstappen surely just looks at this and thinks, yeah, no, in the bag here, easy as, just needs to make sure he gets decent qualifying lap in, and he should be fine. But of course, another team that we need to really talk about is that of Charles Leclerc's team being Ferrari.
Yes, obviously, big news coming into this weekend is that Charles Leclerc has a 10-place grid penalty for Sunday. His team giving him another set of controlled electronics. This is his third set for the season already. He only allowed 2. He's on his third set going into the second race. Very, very disappointing so far from Ferrari. Hopefully he doesn't have to take any more penalties throughout the season for this specifically. But yes, certainly not looking very good going into the season. I mean, second race, third team. Really
it's really disappointing. And of course, if you're in the comments, tell us what you think about Ferrari so far and their performance after that first Grand Prix. And are you scared for the whole season if you're a Ferrari fan right now, having had reliability problems the entirety of last season, and now having the same problems again? You've got to really worry.
Yes, well, for those who don't know, Charles Leclerc took his first replacement controlled electronics for the Sunday Grand Prix of Bahrain, and then during that Grand Prix they failed, which caused that retirement from the Ferrari. So they are now hoping they've fixed the issue with a new set of controlled electronics, and we will have to see throughout this race weekend.
Yeah, so not just one, not just two, but the third set of electronics. So we look at Leclerc remains confident, however, that something special is definitely possible in Jeddah despite the 10-place grid penalty. We read on here, it says Charles Leclerc is set to take a 10-place grid penalty at this weekend's Saudi Arabia Grand Prix. And while he knows it's not been an ideal start to the season following his DNF in Bahrain, the Ferrari driver is still confident that a special result in Jeddah is very much possible. While running in third place last time out in Bahrain, Leclerc stopped on track with a power unit issue just after Ferrari had replaced the energy store and control electronics on his engine prior to the season opener. Following an investigation into the issue, the Scuderia announced on Wednesday that they would be fitting Leclerc's SF23 with another control electronics power unit component, giving him a 10-place grid penalty for the second race of the season. And he goes on to say, it's the way it is. It's the beginning of the season. Of course, it's not the ideal start that I wish I had at the beginning, starting in Bahrain, but what can I do about it? Now we need to focus on what is ahead, what we can do better as a team to do better, said 5-time race winner Leclerc. This weekend, we are starting from the back foot, but our target is to try and do something special. I like this challenge of starting a little bit more on the back foot and try to do something special and come back to the front as quickly as possible. So
it's certainly going to be difficult. I mean, that midfield as well as the top 10 are looking so competitive at the moment. It's going to be very difficult for sure to make his way through that grid, especially to get past those green Aston Martins. Lance Stroll will certainly be on pace this weekend. Obviously, with his surgeries that he had on both wrists as well as his, I think on his right foot, his big toe. He should be back up to strength and be able to possibly match Fernando Alonso. That's yet to be seen, but yes, certainly a very difficult weekend ahead for Charles Leclerc.
100%. And of course, now we read on here, Reese, and if you just read on here for the article here, and it just goes on to say, when asked whether his role has been to galvanize the squad since the DNF in Bahrain, Leclerc replied, he says, well, yes, because it's only the first race of the season and we've still got many races to go and we still need to be fighting like crazy to be back at the top and keep pushing.
Yes, well, of course, they need to still be able to keep pushing. They obviously have to keep up in terms of the points with Red Bull. You don't want them to get away so early in the season. Obviously, Red Bull showing such dominance already, but you certainly don't want to let them run away. I mean, it's the second race of the season, and I mean, Red Bull already just showing that they are possibly the only title contenders for 2023 right now.
I think the only ones that you could also consider, as I say, I mean, it's a very big outside chance, is that of Aston Martin. And when we talk about Aston Martin, I still think what happened with the track there is the fact that Bahrain, there's lots of improvements obviously to be made, and Aston Martin have got a bigger leeway in terms of improvements than that of Red Bull. And of course, Red Bull are well ahead of them, but perhaps, Aston Martin are not actually as far behind as they think they are. I mean, they were really not far off for qualifying, and had Fernando Alonso started up the grid, put himself in first place in the qualifying session, you might well have seen better fighting in a much longer race for Red Bull. They wouldn't have gone away with it as a way, because I think that Aston Martin's got enough pace to stay with those Red Bulls in a DRS zone type of scenario. If Fernando Alonso is fighting it out at the top, I reckon that car probably does actually have enough pace to try and challenge those Red Bulls a little bit.
Yes, well, of course, everything's a bit of an if at the moment. We don't necessarily know. We haven't seen them fighting out over a long race distance. I mean, we've seen how close they are in qualifying, but that Red Bull is just so strong in race pace, you never know. I don't think that the Aston Martin is necessarily as strong in race pace. I mean, you have to think that they have adopted Red Bull's 22-step car. Red Bull have then evolved that to 2023. Of course, it's going to be a little bit stronger, but of course, Aston Martin are able to develop that car now over the rest of the season, where Red Bull don't have a lot of
leeway with regards to that. That's the problem, for not just coming first, but of course having those penalties due to those infringements they had with the FIA. So we also look at this, and as long as Aston Martin stay within touching distance of the Red Bulls, which at the moment they're doing, of course they're only one race in, but if they can do it again this weekend, they can develop a lot more than Red Bull can this season, and perhaps they can get really, really close to challenging them, which would be really fun. And of course, hopefully, Ferrari can be the other team. Charles Leclerc goes and says he wants to do something special this weekend, and Carlos Sainz, of course, managed to get in a half-decent result for Ferrari in the Bahrain Grand Prix. But if Ferrari can hopefully fix the issue they had there with regards to Charles Leclerc's electronics unit, and Carlos Sainz doesn't have an issue with it either, because it's only in Charles Leclerc's car that showed problems. So it's interesting that Carlos Sainz is yet to show problems with regards to that unit. We'll be seeing this weekend as to whether or not that causes problems. But only Charles Leclerc had those issues, and if they can fix those issues, Charles Leclerc's Ferrari did not look particularly slow.
No, I mean, it was fast. It's certainly still not fast enough to match the race pace of those Red Bulls. I think the biggest thing that they will be working on this weekend is just trying to get to the bottom of their tyre degradation. Obviously, over the race last week, well, not last week, the week before, we saw how Red Bull were just so good on their tyre degradation. They were able to look after those tyres till later in the race, whereas Ferrari just ate up those tyres so quickly, which meant they had to really drop back in pace a bit to be able to conserve them. This is where you want to try and close the gap quite a lot. It's mostly in setup change, but obviously there's lots of little things that you can do to try and make your tyre degradation a little bit better.
And of course, this is not Saudi Arabia. It's different to Bahrain. There's no doubt about it. It's a different track. The way in which the tyre degradation works on this track will be quite a bit different to Bahrain, most likely. And so it depends on how the teams can manage it there, and which tyres they use, of course. So, if the tyre degradation issue falls away in this race, then it puts them right up there, hopefully, alongside the likes of Red Bull. And, we read on with regards to Charles Leclerc wanted to pull off a miracle with his 10-place grid penalty. He goes, I still believe in it. And, of course, we still need to believe in it because it's only the first race. Well, it was only in the first race, I think it means. So it hasn't gone as planned. And when it's Ferrari, and the situation doesn't go as well as it should, then there are lots of voices and all this around the team. There's no doubt Scuderia are the biggest team in Formula One. You can take Red Bull and put it up there, but at the end of the day, the biggest racing team that ever has been and ever will be is the Scuderia, and that Ferrari. And of course, he's not wrong in saying, at the moment anything goes wrong or something happens, everybody's going to be talking about them, which they do. And he goes and adds, but we need to be good at spending our energy right inside the team, pushing in the same direction to make a difference and come back stronger. Even with the DNF, Ferrari, by their own admission, had struggled to match rivals. Red Bull for pace in Bahrain. But when asked if they could change what could change in Jeddah, Leclerc said it should suit us a little bit better. Very interesting. Bahrain is also a very specific track, so I hope the delta pace we've seen will not be the same here. But our car characteristics should fit better at this track, so hopefully it will be the case. But something special is definitely possible in this car. His teammate Carlos Sainz, on the other hand, who finished fourth in Bahrain, was also feeling confident about Ferrari's chances in Jeddah, as he also cited the different nature of the track as a reason for the Scuderia to feel upbeat heading into the weekend. He says, I want to think so, said Sainz, when asked if a podium finish is possible in Jeddah. The track is completely different to Bahrain, the tarmac, high-speed nature, but is it enough to beat the Red Bull? Given how tough and how competitive they were in Bahrain, it's going to be extremely difficult. But I want to be more optimistic after Bahrain, and this weekend I feel we have a good chance to be back on the podium.
Yes, well, Saudi Arabia being such a high-speed circuit, we're certainly hoping to see Ferrari being a lot closer. I mean, they've made gains over the winter in their engine department. They were about 30 horsepower down last season because they had to tune down their engines for reliability issues. Whereas over the winter season, they were able to get rid of these gremlins and hopefully unlock that extra 30 horsepower, which should hopefully help them to be close to the Red Bull down the straights, which is where they were certainly lacking last year.
And I think, so much has been predicted, and we are very guilty of it as well. There's so much that we've said about the season, not necessarily writing off teams completely, but certainly saying that certain instances and scenarios have already happened, and that, Red Bull are going to run away with it in the season, and the Scuderia have already got problems, so we're not so focused on them. Aston Martin are a great team to watch, and Mercedes are out. It's one race in of a 23 race calendar. There's so much more that we're going to see. I mean, Red Bull also, don't forget, we did testing in the Bahrain track. So all of those cars fitted their cars as best as possible for that Bahrain circuit. So when it came to the Bahrain Grand Prix, they already knew exactly what was going to happen with regards to those cars. There was no surprises whatsoever. Saudi Arabia, different story. They've not been on this track in these cars. Tomorrow's going to be the first time all these cars get to try it out. And they've only got 3 practices in which to sort it out. And it's a very different track to Bahrain. Hopefully some teams have done some modifications since the last Grand Prix. They've seen what worked, what didn't work. They're going to make those modifications to get closer, because Red Bull aren't going to really change anything, but all the other teams can change. So the only thing you can really see happen is that gap to Red Bull shrink. So,
well, I don't necessarily know if we'll see that. I think Red Bull are still going to be extremely strong. We've seen how dominant they are on street circuits, and they seem to quite like Jeddah, especially with them being so fast down the straights. But we will have to see. Hopefully tomorrow will give us some sort of indication. But I mean, of course, you say that it's the first time teams are coming here with these cars. It's not necessarily true. I mean, they came here last year with the new spec or new generation of Formula One cars. They gathered so much information at each track they go to. They put all of that into the sim, and they can pretty much simulate an entire race weekend.
yes, nonetheless, we do see all these issues and different things occur once they're actually on track. And of course, lots of development has hopefully happened since Bahrain, especially for the teams like Mercedes and the others. Of course, McLaren is another team that we really, really want to see improve. Alpine should have done better than what they did. Alfa Romeo, they're there and thereabouts. William had a decent improvement inside the race itself. AlphaTauri is there and thereabouts as well. There's not much to talk about in terms of those teams. We do look at our big 4 teams now, essentially, and we do watch them with keen eyes, and we are so interested to see what happens this weekend. And of course, lots and lots can happen. We're not even making any predictions necessarily, other than the fact that I think Red Bull will still walk away with it this weekend. But I'm hoping to see some teams get closer. Maybe something big happens in the opening corners. Maybe Verstappen comes under pressure, crashes out or something. Something can happen. We don't know. Very keen, of course, for the Saudi Arabia Grand Prix, which starts in just under 19.5 hours until the first practice session tomorrow in Saudi Arabia. So keen to see them. And of course, you can stream it and watch it along with us on Forever Sports, on Forever Motorsports as well. We and Reese will be there for most of the sessions, and of course, you can feel free to comment, participate, ask us questions, and be sure to subscribe to the channel and like the videos, of course, so that you can get more and more content. On Forever Sports, of course, we share so much Formula One content. We keep you in the loop as best we can. We have shows on Monday, Thursday, and then we have videos every other time, and we live stream every session for the Formula One weekend. So, of course, be sure to stick around, subscribe, like the video, and check me and Reese more as we go.
Yes, of course. And we also have, later this evening, we're doing a live stream on our Forever Sports Extra channel, just doing a game play-along of the Saudi Arabia Grand Prix. There should be about, I think it's
about 7 or 8 of us going to be racing around Saudi Arabia Grand Prix. It's sure to be very, very good fun, a good laugh. We will be doing it live on the Forever Sports Extra channel. That's our other channel there, one of our partner channels. You can go and click our channel, and you can go and find it there in the other channels we support. And of course, be sure to come and watch that. It'll be a good laugh. And nonetheless, also you can go and see exactly how not to race the Saudi Arabia Grand Prix. That is, of course, if you're following any car, but Reese does know how to race this game very well. The rest of us, we'll be just participating for the sake of it. So, of course, be sure to join us there as well. You guys have been watching Forever Motorsports on Forever Sports. I've been Mark. Reese has been Reese. And thank you so much for watching. We're so keen for the Saudi Arabia Grand Prix. Be sure to join us on the channel, of course, for every single session. And share with your friends. Subscribe. And we'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.
And we are live. Good evening, everybody. Hello and welcome to the Saudi Arabia Grand Prix. I am your host, Stevie P, and your commentator for tonight's action. And coming up in the next hour, the Forever Sports team, be taking on the circuit in Jeddah for the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, which obviously all the action gets underway tomorrow in Saudi Arabia. And first practice and first two practice sessions tomorrow, practice 3, qualifying on Saturday, the Grand Prix on Sunday. But the main event, what we're all really here to do, is to watch the Forever Sports team try and take on this street circuit, and it should be pretty entertaining. But basically, I will be taking you through all the action. But before we do that, let's have a look at sort of how standings are at the moment, because we did do the Bahrain Grand Prix, and right now, as things stand after week 1, we've got Reese in the first place. He took the first win of the season. We then had Mark in second place. The N3 rappers, so known as Narupas, coming in third there. Lord Farquaad with 2 points. Jimmy Boy with 1. Newbies into the stream tonight and into the season. We do welcome Reza Snowman and Silver Beef. So they will be making their debuts tonight. Without any sort of further ado, they're currently out there having qualifying, so that should be quite entertaining. But basically, I want you guys to jump in the comments. I want you guys to let us know where you're watching from, who your favorite team is, who you're supporting. Let's get behind some drivers. As I said, Reece Stedman is the man to watch out for tonight. Just absolutely cleaned up in the last race. In fact, he was actually just toying with this with everybody else during that session. So he'll be looking to try and make it 2 races from 2, 2 wins rather from 2. And I think for me, it's probably gonna be more entertaining to see how the newbies go, and really sort of gauge where they're gonna be at, and how quickly they can grasp things out in the track there, because it's a very difficult track even when the best do it. And I can assure you right now, what you will be seeing in the next hour are far from the best. So it's going to be fun, though. It's going to be fun. At the end of the day, that's the main thing. And so sit back, relax, and enjoy what should be quite a fun stream here as we head into all the action. Obviously, we'll be covering all the action, by the way, live over the weekend. So make sure you go check that all out. That will all be on Forever Sports, opposed to Forever Sports Extra. So all the gaming kind of stuff like that we're doing at the moment, that is going to take place on Forever Sports Extra, but all the actual F1 coverage, stuff like that, that'll take place over on Forever Sports. So basically, you want to make sure you're subscribed to both so that you get all the action. In fact, you want to be subscribed to all our various channels. We've got Forever Rugby, we've got Forever Football, we've got Forever Cricket, we've got anything and everything you can think of. We've got. So go and make sure you subscribe to them so that you don't miss any of the moments and stuff like that. And just going to quickly share this on the various page. There we go. And we're now going to head over to Jeddah and sort of catch up with everybody and see what's going on at the moment. Inferno actually in that Aston Martin's currently quickest, but without any further ado, let's move across to the action and see what's happening over in Saudi Arabia. And here we are. Here we are. So very interested to sort of see. First of all, we're currently on board with the Red Bull. As you can see, this is the Red Bull of Mr. Reese, I believe. We're going to be going through the various. You've got a 3-second time penalty for ignoring the player flags. That goes for Snowman, which is not looking good. And yeah, we're going to need a bit more from him, hopefully. And we want to try to see clean racing, don't we? Yeah, on board there with the Red Bull. Now moving to AlphaTauri. This is Silver Beef. We've then got the Alfa Romeo of Snowman, who did get that 3-second penalty. So interesting to see what's going on there. And we're going to bring in the sound in just a second, in terms of exactly what's happening over from the game, which is going to work in just a bit. So just trying to get the sound going, but as you can sort of see already, a lot happening from a racing perspective. So we'll get the on track volume working a little bit, and hopefully that'll sort of rectify itself out quite soon. I'm not sure why it's not working, which seems very strange. But yeah, in the meantime, we're going to listen to a little bit of the chat that's going on, and I do apologize for any of the language and the aggression that might pop up. These guys are getting quite competitive about the whole thing. So let's have a little bit of a listen to the chat that's going on. And
I'll try not in the wet now.
Right, gentlemen, as you
qualified
guys know, we are currently live, and so we've got Inferno up in first place, the Aston Martin running well. I'd like to speak to Snowman and find out why he's ignoring yellow flags though. Are you colorblind? Are you just blind? What's going on?
I'll tell you, I'll give you a very specific reason why. Because I didn't know that there were any.
So this is what I'm saying. So when you saw like the poor like Saudi Arabian guy on the side, like madly waving a yellow flag, did you think he was just supporting like McLaren and just got the
He was an Alfa Romeo fan.
Well, you know. To be fair, we are riding on board with the Alfa Romeo, and I could, yeah, I also probably wouldn't be an Alfa Romeo fan, to be fair.
Look, I mean, you know, this is my rookie season.
No, fair enough. We're now on board with the Ferrari that is the Maui Magic 93. Could be the first Maui driver ever in the sport.
Setting up the last.
Oh, there we go. Well, it could be. I mean, I'm trying to work out.
Oh fuck!
Where this track ends and starts, and you're definitely not helping my cause here, because
sorry, buddy.
I believe, as I said, I'm no expert, but I believe where those green stripes are, you're supposed to stay within them, and definitely off that wall.
I'm trying my hardest, I swear.
Meanwhile, we've stopped over to the Haas, who is being put back in the garage. Judy boy, you are currently what's going on here? You've got the slow lap.
We're struggling to not spin every single lap.
Well, he's driving a Haas.
It does seem to be a driver issue, but I'm definitely going to be in the car today.
Okay, so that is why we pitted. Meanwhile, we're out in the Aston, which seems to be doing quite well. Let's go and see what's happening in the McLaren, because McLaren's a team which just continues to underperform these days, and we'd like them to do better. And we're now on board with Lord Farquaad. How's this McLaren feeling?
The Red Bull that's on my way. Please get out of my way. Please get out of my way.
Hey, do you mind? We're trying to interview the McLaren driver here.
Well, it's feeling good. It's feeling better than the actual McLaren that's really driving, if I'm honest.
Fair enough. And prospects for tonight, is a podium on the cards, or are we asking too much here?
Well, after my 1 point last week, I'm feeling good. I think I'm targeting first. Probably not. Maybe second.
Second. Okay, fair enough. I like the confidence though to even say that after 1 point that you reckon you're not only going to make the podium, but indeed get into second place there. So look, I mean, we back you. We back you at the end of the day.
You got to believe, man. You got to believe.
No, 100%. And I'm all about the belief. So we've got 8 minutes left of qualifying. In the meantime, we're going to go. The Haas does seem to be out. Is it out? Yes, the Haas is out. We are on board with the Haas, who seems to be right behind I believe is that an Alpha that's in front there?
Yeah. It's a snowman. Bit of a strange place to find a snowman. if I
Well,
must be
meanwhile,
honest.
you've actually got.
It's
I was about
not
to say, if you want to look on your inside.
It's an outlap. It's an outlap. We're just going slowly, getting rid of the cars.
Okay, outlap there. Fair enough. That AlphaTauri coming in through.
Alpine.
Alpine rather. Right, and where's that Ferrari? Who?
I see a car, which I'm very happy about.
Well, it's nice to see the Ferrari actually out on track and not having engine issues, to be honest. So
Wow.
we're
Thanks, Dad.
well, we gotta celebrate the small victories here because there haven't been too many as a Ferrari fan.
Oh, fuck. No, man.
Ross Bacacci is in the comments. He's asking a very valid question, and I think this can be directed to most people. Do you guys know what track limits are?
What is
Are we
that?
able to obey them? No.
Fair enough. Yeah,
What the
no,
hell's a track limit?
clearly that is an issue that we are seeing quite clearly over here early on, is that track limits don't seem to be very optional. This Ferrari has gone in every part of Saudi Arabia except for the part it's supposed to.
I'm pretty sure the Alpha Man
do
is
my
not doing
best
much
there.
better either.
Yeah, to be honest, I mean, we've all heard about, when you live in Saudi Arabia and you have to be like confined to your compound. This Ferrari would have been shot and executed very quickly if you lived out there.
Jesus.
Listen, I'm
You
not
are
doing
slightly
very
on my
well.
lap here.
Okay,
Is
well,
the horse going to pull something out now?
the horse is complaining, so let's go and see why he's complaining. He does have a bit of traffic in front of him.
That's traffic. It's just traffic.
Yeah, the
Two
Alpine
slow
not-
spokes that just hogging the entire track here.
I believe according to the clock, you are in fact the slowest person out there.
Not much longer. Come now.
The one I'm interested in is our favorite for today, the Red Bull. I believe seems to be in the pits.
Come on,
But
man. It's
Reese,
ridiculous.
what's going on? Not looking a bit unlikely. Max Verstappen wouldn't appreciate that. Why so slow?
Well, I've only been out on a set of mediums so far, so I'm going out on my first soft run right now.
Cool.
Lap James.
Come on, son. Get out of the way.
So it's nice to hear somebody that actually seems to know what they're going on. I'm actually going to ask Ajmal, do you know what mediums are?
You're asking me.
Yeah, well, I'm just yeah. You did seem a bit concerned about the tires before the race, so just want to check in and see if you've worked out what's
I've got
going on.
no
there.
idea. I've got no idea. To be honest, the soft, medium, hard, they all seem the same to me, and I've got no idea what I'm supposed to be doing.
Right,
So
look,
I'm
that's not
just
the best.
going
That's not
to
the
rip
best
the
advice.
tires that I am currently on.
Okay, so I wouldn't recommend taking that approach in the bedroom in terms of soft, medium, hard not making a difference, but it does seem to be semi-working out on the track. You're not lost.
I mean, doesn't matter, got late, right?
I suppose she might not agree, depending on the approach you've taken. Meanwhile, the pass, which is a lot of complaining, has seemed to bring it. Well, he has brought down that lap time from over 2 minutes to down to under a minute, but still sitting in last place with 5 minutes to go.
Am I actually beating someone?
Yeah, no, the heart of nowhere. This is Nick Schumacher getting the sack. Gunter is not happy. He's already asked for Drive Survive episodes to be bumped up.
Oh,
Whoa!
what rubbish is this? What absolute nonsense! Surely that's not allowed.
What happened? What
Who
happened?
was that?
There was a little accident.
Somebody
I
just
think that-
drove me off the road.
I think that was me.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
That's remarkably what James did to me just now.
Oh, living. I didn't drive you off the road. I just-
Surely that wasn't allowed.
Right, so we're just going to take a bit of a break from the action there. And again, that's a reminder of our standing, stuff like that. We're going to try and get the audio issue sorted out with the cars during the race. We will have in-game audio. So just sort of sorting that out a little bit here. But yeah, in the meantime, as I said, we're looking at that early session. There's about 3 minutes left of that qualifying. So hopefully we will be able to get back to it. We will get back to it in the last couple of minutes to see who's going to end up finishing the fastest. So yeah, very much worth monitoring. And yeah, I think immediately we've seen the Aston Martin looking pretty quick. We're looking at a straddling Haas, who's actually jumped up the leaderboard a little bit. The Ferrari down in last place, which is not where they'd like to be. So yeah, work to do from them. But with 2 minutes left, let's go across back to the qualifying and let's have a look at who's going to start there. Remember, that is how the log currently looks in terms of the season log. And Inferno still going the fastest here. So the Aston Martin. Oh, the Haas has spun out as we can cross over to the Haas, which is busy spinning out.
Oh, did I just do my fastest lap? Yes!
And the Haas, we've now just come back here. Welcome back. The Haas seems to be facing the wrong way. He has jumped up the leaderboard,
Situation normal.
which is the good
He
news.
put in a decent lap last lap.
Oh,
A bit of an out lap now.
okay.
We'll put a hot one in now again.
Why did it take so long to put you to the pits?
Well, 2 minutes. 2 minutes, yeah. So we basically got time for each
2 minutes. There's no chance for somebody else to come out to go to the pits now and go again.
No, so
I'm trying to get back out.
No, Inferno is done. We're gonna go see what has actually happened and how he's managed to get this wrong. He's still in the pits.
no.
He's not gonna be able to
He's
come
got it
out.
wrong.
Reese has just gone fastest, by the way. Late drama here at qualifying. The Red Bulls got fastest. The Aston stuck in the pits. Maui Magic's
Haas
decided
facing the wrong
stuff
way.
this. He's gonna have an early night. And new Jimmy Boy, the question is, can the Haas get in a quick lap, go ahead of the McLaren? McLaren looking to try and get into that top three. Still a bit of the silent assassin at Alpine. And he's got a bit of traffic. And maybe looking for, I don't know if he's trying to look for a tow from the Alfa Romeo, or if the Alfa Romeo is just not getting out the way. But he does manage to get past. And you're tired from the session. Here we go. The Aston Martin. Fernando Alonso fuming. It looks like second place. He's going to have to take a set for second place, and this is Alpine comes across in a really good lap time. I think the traffic is going to do going to be the problem for him.
Oh no, am I in last place? Oh no.
Don't worry, you won't be lost in the race. I can't put more than 2 laps together before facing the wrong way.
And the question is, can the Alpine get in a quicker lap? There you go, the DRS zone here. And now down the straight. Oh, got a little bit wide there.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, well, there we go. Late drama. Let's go to the McLaren, who has decided to jump into third place.
Fuck.
Yeah, boy.
As you can see, the Alpine Garage not impressed with what just happened there.
I was hot. Oh my god, I was hot in that lap.
What am I supposed to start this race on? Like, do I change tires? Does it change it for me?
The tire that you just finished your quickest lap on, that's what you're starting on.
I'm just getting a little education in Formula One today.
I've only used one tire because I haven't got.
Yeah, listen. I mean, at the end of the day, we're dealing with experts here. People that really understand the sport, people that really understand the game. Any
Fanatics.
any accusations towards the fact that we're not taking it seriously and we don't know what's going on is very grossly off the mark. But yeah, as kind of expected, I suppose. The Red Bull up there in first place. He will take podium. The Aston Martin has retired. They've gone to the pub. The Ferrari might as well not even come out and qualify, to be honest. Snowman there in the Alfa Romeo is in sixth place. So this is how our grid's looking at the moment. Interesting signs. I think the Haas looking pretty impressive when it's not on the wall, but I suppose most cars do.
Facing the wrong way.
I don't know what's going on.
We're actually going to write a board show with the Haas to see exactly what's going wrong and why we
the
do
Haas
like
is
to
finished.
spin.
Plus, the Alfa Romeo is still going.
There's only 2 cars on track at the moment, and that's the Alpine and the Alfa Romeo.
I mean, are we supposed to
The
end
Alfa
our
Romeo is...
Is qualifying over? I thought qualifying was over.
No, you got this last lap.
I got a lap to go.
No, so you went into the pits. Well done.
Ah.
So instead of putting the time in, you went into the pits. You did well there. You did well
I
there.
think he was coasting the whole
Right,
last
well there we
lap
go,
anyway.
people. We've got our grid. We've got our grid. So that's how things are going to look at as when we start on the race. Lights out and away we go, and all of that jazz. That'll be coming up very, very shortly. So don't go away. And yeah, again, chuck your predictions in the comments. Let us know who you're backing to get this job done when it comes to the race itself. Over in Saudi Arabia, so Red Bull fastest over there. We're going to move. Let's have a look at the grid. This is what we're seeing here. The Red Bull fastest, Aston Martin in second place, McLaren in third, the Alpine on the Silver Beef in fourth, the new Jimmy Boy in that Haas in fifth place. The apparently only South African driver there, Snowman in sixth, and the Maui Magic Ferrari. Not much magic there, unfortunately, in seventh place. And right, next thing you know, we've got a race to come.
So what do you mean? How do you? So you mustn't have full
Accelerator.
Rev the whole time, yeah.
Oh shit. Okay.
Vital information being shared before the race, as you can see.
I always just go full pelt.
Yeah, we've noticed.
Well, I mean,
we have noticed.
Yeah. And you always give the space, don't you, Ron?
Oh well, you should ask yourself that question.
Say that again. So I hold down A and then the accelerator.
Yeah, that's the one. And then you let go of A to start.
Okay.
We're accelerating towards the end of the light.
Race strategy, do you care?
Yeah, that's deep.
Oh my god, what does this even mean? Default strategy, alternate. What the actual?
Don't bother. Don't bother.
I don't have to go to the pits because I don't know where the pit lane is.
Alright, well, here we go. So as you can see here, we are just seconds away from getting underway here in Saudi Arabia. People don't know where the pit lane is. People don't know how to start. But apart from that, we really are at lights out and away we go.
What the hell's optimal RPM?
I mean,
That was not an optimal start.
yeah, no, lights out and away we go, people. And the Aston Martin's coming on the inside there. Look for the Alfa Romeo crossing through the Red Bull. And then Alfa Romeo, he's just put the Red Bull to the wall. And the Aston Martin's got away with it. And what a start at the moment. The Alfa Romeo, I'm not sure it's entirely legal, but it seems to be working for him. And the Aston Martin putting on the early lead here. So, as it stands right now, with Alfa Romeo in first place, Snowman second, Reese in third, Silver in fourth, George Farquhar in fifth. Maui Matrix actually comes past the Haas, who is in seventh place. And I think we're going to go right on board now with the Red Bull and see what's going on there, because that seems to be the one that I think will be reining in that Alfa Romeo pretty quickly. This is, of course, our favorite for the day, so we're really backing. Coming on the inside there, he doesn't always get in the outside. Now he starts coming on the outside around the corner. The Alfa Romeo fitting pretty well. The Red Bull, that's going to have to be investigated in terms of evading track limits there. I'm not sure that's going to be allowed.
Read that!
Meanwhile, we're hearing about a bit of beef between the Haas and the wall. I mean, no surprise there, really. Oh, goodness me. Why is it every single time we cross the Haas in the wall? You can't script it. You can't script
My game is glitching.
now these things coming out about games glitching and stuff like that. We're now riding on board with the Alpine, who's also reining in the Alfa Romeo. That has been said by the Aston Martin.
Yes, it's Farquhar.
I think you waited to be.
Yeah, you're lots of accusations currently going on about going into
you were like four lengths ahead of me, then you glitched to 1 length ahead of me. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, I'm glitching.
Now, I mean, all the issues are coming out. The technology issues are coming out. But at the end of the day, chaps, you just need a race better.
Young can be third.
He is. Still trying to catch him down, but he's gone horribly wide there. Almost looks like he's being a little bit too aggressive. Again, not sure that too many track limits are being obeyed right now. It does seem to be pretty optional to stay on the track. And Farquhar has had a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. I feel like he can't really complain, can he? The Alfa Romeo then trying a very interesting tactic. I think he's trying to brake test the Alpines. So having to remain calm here is Mr. Silverbeef.
A maniac in front of me.
I'm just trying to stay on it.
Just trying to find a bit of space in the area. He's swinging a bit wide. This Alfa Romeo is literally, I mean, I feel like you have to give it to a race. Oh, he's gone straight over. And the Alfa Romeo sneaks past and gives him a bit of a, I think it's a bit of a middle finger they're going past that. I'm not sure you should be allowed to just swerve left and right like the Alfa Romeo is. That is in terms of a defense tactic. It is working though. Meanwhile, the Haas just seems to be falling further and further behind. We'll move to him after this because I was kind of hoping to see an overtake, but Silver Beef is apparently very over that idea. DRS is enabled. Wilden's give in the edge, or he has to do it in a second. And right now, he's just getting further and further back. And the Alfa Romeo, in fact, let's maybe right on board with the Alfa and see, you know, this seems to be quite an impressive little debut for the rookie.
Concentration
A little
level high
there. But I'll tell you what, in fact, seems to be opening a bit of a gap between himself and the Alpine. Let's go further down the grid to the McLaren, which has just had a 3-second penalty. That seems to be glitching a lot, which kind of sums up why McLaren has been so rubbish.
Yeah, it's... Oh my god, this is a disaster.
Right, now on board with the Ferrari, who is taking the long way round.
Every time we come on board, it stresses me the hell out.
Man, it's good. Doesn't go under pressure, yeah.
No, a couple of tickling the walls here. Right, now on board with the Red Bull. This was our race favourite coming in, the current leader in the championship. He used to try and rein the Aston Martin in, who's got himself to a very good lead so far. And that's going to go now back all the way back to the grid to see what's happening with this Haas. Who's having a nice time, you know, it's basically like a picnic for one. You know, it's you by yourself, there's nobody else around you. At the end of the day, it's not everybody's cup of tea, but if that's your only option, it's better than no picnic. You know, we've all seen that clip of, you know, as long as I'm involved type thing. Well, it's kind of a similar sort of thing out here. A bit of a lonely pigeon, really.
Ooh.
But not saying almost half a racing line popping up here from the Haas. He's got a lot of work to do if he's to try and get up to that Ferrari. However, we are apparently going to overlap. There we go, the Alpine. Oh no, the Alfa Romeo says no. Bugger you, I'll put you in the wall trying to come on next to me. Definitely not legal, but I don't think the Alfa Romeo really cares, to be honest. And once again, that Alpine is behind him. It's incredible teams here down in Jeddah. We are seeing basically like bumper cars, you know, but I suppose it works. Right now, I mean, no penalties have been applied to the Alfa Romeo, so despite being more aggressive than the New Zealand winger, he's getting away with it.
And pulling away from Graham.
And as we felt commentators, putting in a 2-second gap, in fact.
That's good.
Yeah, it's like a one corner right.
I mean, I'm going to get the Alpha, who almost spoke too soon. He has spoken too soon. He's going corner. He's going wall to wall to wall. I mean, as you can see, ladies and gentlemen, this is why we have to leave damage off, because if we left damage on, we wouldn't have a race. Yeah, I mean, it's like when you go to the bowling alley and you've got the sides up. That is basically what we're seeing here from the Alfa Romeo. He's still got his training wheels on. He's still kind of sort of eating every little last bit. But once again, we are seeing that Alpine starting to catch up. However, we've seen the story before, haven't we? There it goes.
3-second penalty.
The 3-second penalty has multiple warnings. You can't say it's not deserved. It must be said. Neither are we that surprised. What I am very surprised with, we're going to ride along as this Haas just seems to be getting further and further behind. What's going on here?
We had to do our regular spin around. We just make sure that there's nobody behind us. You know, you don't want anyone to sneak up behind for the overtake.
You could very well be lapped at this stage with the way things are going. Meanwhile, at the top of the grid, the Aston Martin has pulled up an 11-second lead, and I want to chat to the Red Bull. Reese, what's going on here?
I disconnected from the session, so I've just been able to reconnect now, so I've only just taken control.
It's a new excuse, basically saying that, you know, it wasn't my fault, I wasn't actually driving. But now it has brought that gap down a half a second in the last couple of corners. So that seems to be putting some proper pace down. Let's go have a look at our Alpine, who once again has the Alfa Romeo in his sights.
Someone tell me when I'm supposed to be pitting.
I'm pitting right now.
He's trying to come on the inside. There's the Alpine. He's trying to come on the inside. Yeah, he does seem to have been over here. He does get past it. The Alpha the back and he's gone through again.
Oh, time penalties.
Oh, God.
Unfortunately, he almost overdid it there. And the Alpine has finally managed to go through. It's not been good. It wasn't good. It was I think definition of dirty racing. Meanwhile, we're back with the Haas, which is now 49 seconds behind the next car, which is the Ferrari. Was there a pit stop? Was there another spin? What's happening? Are we just starting in
we got new
reverse?
tires now.
We're on
We
new
didn't have
tires.
the red ones.
Okay, we're on new tires. So basically, watch out because the new tire Haas. Meanwhile, we're in now. Imagine he's going into the picture. Let's have a look at the pit. Let's see what the Ferrari can pull out here. Here we go. He goes in there. Yeah, not a bad pit either. He's got the McLaren in front of him, and yeah, the pit stop might. Well, it means you should see how the pit stop's going to affect the cars. You know, on new tires here. Will that give them more grip and mean that they'll only go to the wall 3-4 times this lap instead of about 5-6? We'll find out.
Just watch me, boy. Just watch me. You just watch me.
Right, there we go. The Ferrari out on a brand new set of tires. The McLaren also on a new set of tires. McLaren's got a lot of work to do to try and get to that Alfa Romeo. But the McLaren has been given another 3-second penalty.
Oh my God.
What's going on here?
This glitching is going to kill me, man. This is going to kill me.
Technology coming in. And meanwhile, by the way, the Red Bull has now taken the lead.
Yes, if you'd recognise, it went to the pits.
Yeah, so he's trying to blame a pit stop and try to sort of claim that that's why. At the end of the day,
I'm disconnected with those so far.
Oh!
What's going on?
What's going on?
Safety car.
We've got a safety car. We've got a safety car coming out.
Interesting.
Safety car. Oh, I'll tell you, the Aston Martin was taking the safety car. I'm not so sure he should have been allowed there. Given the fact that there's a safety car, we're going to make sure that the Haas is still in one piece. It's strange that there is a safety car out.
Haas is looking good.
Do I have to slow down? What do I have to do?
You see the green thing? Keep yourself in the green.
Basically, you get bonus points for overtaking the safety car.
Correct.
Oh, God. Is that the safety car there?
Yeah, that was. But he's not moving.
Yeah, he's not moving.
Yeah, that's because he's waiting for first place, so keep going around him.
No overtaking while there's a safety car.
Yeah, as you can see,
No overtaking
McLaren
people. You
is
can
not
overtake the
looking
safety car.
particularly good. He's popping up everywhere. I mean, the man's apparating.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on here. I don't even know if I'm allowed to overtake him. People are telling me I'm not supposed to.
Well, to be fair, you actually have to be able to see where he is to be able to not overtake him. So this next car is going to be interesting. It's going to back up the race. It'll allow the Haas to get back into things. It'll allow the Red Bull and the Aston Martin to get nice and close. There is that safety car that we're talking about. So we're going to move up to the leaders. We should be coming up to the safety car pretty soon.
How do I go to the pits?
RB. And then just hit a right in the first option on your trackpad.
And then he'll do it by himself.
And then it's
Why
going
do
to
I
be
have to reduce speed? What is going on?
Right, so the
Delta
Haas has
pace.
officially
You have
been
to maintain
lapped,
a certain
but
pace.
the Red Bull's not going into the pits. Interesting. Under the safety car, the Red Bull is pitting. And the big question is, we're going to ask the Red Bull,
On the wrong
Reece,
tires.
do you believe you've got the pace to win this race?
Well, they've changed me onto the wrong tires, so we'll have to see.
I mean, I've heard every excuse coming out of the Red Bull. This is a Max Verstappen especially. First of all, it's this nonsense of I've disconnected. Now it's they put the wrong tires on. Yeah, at the end of the day, accountability is the name
What's
of the
he on?
game.
What's he on? What's he on?
Medium.
Doesn't matter.
Let's go have a look at who's on the watch here.
Oh, medium.
There's really not, if I said, it's only the Aston that's actually on the softs here, so...
Yeah, I've just come my second pit.
Right, so second pit. We are now
What do I have to
5
do
laps
with this?
away. The Red Bull has pitted. They are in fresh of the mediums behind the safety car, and you will have 5 laps on these. So the question is, will the soft of the Aston Martin have the pace over the Red Bull? Will the Haas not be lapped?
Safety queue.
Ferrari's coming in for another pit as well, as is the Alfa Romeo, who's just gone back out. But yeah, as I said, with the safety car, it feels to be backed up a little bit. Should make for a pretty exciting finish. And we're going to move back to the Aston Martin, who's almost gone to the back of the Red Bull, trying to heat up the tyres there. Trying to work out, looks like the safety car has gone in. If not,
No, it's just got far ahead.
Oh, what's going on?
Ah, there it is. There it's safety car. He has managed to rein it back in. Right, so as it stands, Reese in first, and Fernando second, Silver Beef in third, Snowman and the Alpine in fourth, the McLaren in fifth, and the Ferrari down in sixth, and the Haas basically here for shits and giggles. Bit of lag here with the Red Bull.
Clearly, yes.
Oh, I've got real bad.
Safety car key.
Well, at the end of the day, just get better instincts. Don't make your problems our problems.
Goddamn MTN.
Ask the answer. How can we help you? Right, the Red Bull.
Reese
car-
is now currently deciding he doesn't
Got
want
a
to wait
pass-
for the
he
safety
doesn't,
car.
He doesn't need a safety car. He's gone straight past the safety car and said, you know what, I'm out of here. And this is an interesting
gonna
move. He's
prolong the
gone
safety
for
car, and he
another
knocked.
pit. He did say he thought he was on the wrong tyres, so here come the softs. Yep, the softs are on now. Big moment in the race. He's managed to put himself on the softs. He's forfeited the lead. He's actually going to come out in fifth at this rate. So, Reese, yes, you were on nice tyres, fewer laps now, and you're further back. What do you back
No, but
this
I'm
energy?
42 far back. No.
Yeah, I think I'll be a lot faster.
A lot
Definitely
faster.
than
There you go.
mediums. Just have to hope Mark doesn't pull out too much of a gap.
There we go. Well, it's all about navigating the traffic, and if there's one thing I would like to, one piece of advice is if when you get to that Alpine, be careful because it has been bumper cars out there. Right, so we're pretty backed up here, apart from the Ferrari and the Haas who are in another province.
Probably another country.
Oh, for fuck's
Yeah,
sake.
this is the Haas is a different time zone, so that's why their timing is a bit different. But when this race restarts, it's going to be very interesting to see how this Red Bull has to try and navigate through the traffic and try and catch that Aston Martin. They are on the same set of tyres. Only two cars that are on softs, I believe. Yeah, still only two cars on the softs.
No. Pushing too hard.
There's a lot of jostling for
and
positions
good news is
behind
the
me.
Ferrari has now caught up as well.
Haas is on the halfway line, halfway behind us. Literally halfway around the track.
So
compared
the
to us.
Haas-
He was
Haas-
almost there, and then he decided to as usual, flip the whole spinning.
I mean, at the end of the day, you know, that whole hard training dragon scene and now we're spinning was invented by the Haas.
And now the spinning.
And then
Right, so
Oh, this is boring.
safety
coming
car
in.
coming in. Here we go, boys. The Aston Martin will have the opportunity to restart the race. The Red Bull's going to try and get through quite a few cars to be able to start attacking him. Watch out for the Alpine in second place. The Alpine in
Can't
third.
overtake me,
North
chop.
in the McLaren in fourth. The Ferrari's also fourth up. The Ferrari's going to probably have a bit of a go on the Red Bull, which is probably quite audacious. And then the Haas, well, again, he's just having fun. Safety car almost in, and then it's time to start racing again. 4 laps. It's going to be non-stop action here inside the There goes the safety car, and it looks like we're back and running. And the Red Bull's been a bit sort of delayed going in through. The Alfa Romeo behind that Alpine going around the corner there. The McLaren trying to sneak through. Aston Martin's. Well, gee. Oh, the Ferrari's come through with the Red Bull out of nowhere. The Magic Maui, like a stone that suddenly qualified play for New Zealand. He's just come in and made it his own. I love it. I love it.
Oh god!
Oh goodness me! Oh, there it's gone! Maui Magic, he gets but this could be the Red Bull race gone. He's had to start.
Yeah, I've disconnected.
He's just crashed straight into the wall there, did the Ferrari, the Alpine as well. Seems to manage to get going again. That could have been the race. I mean, massive racing incident there. In fact, I don't know how we don't have a safety car back out.
Oh my word, that was
Huge
exciting.
collision there. We're now going to have to go up to the Alfa Romeo. He's really the only one that has a chance of catching the Aston.
It's got a 3-second time penalty.
The McLaren now trying to lock down that Alfa Romeo, going back to the Red Bull, which is right behind the Alpine. too much space at the moment. Just trying to find that opportunity to try and sneak through. Meanwhile, the Haas has put a little ground on the Ferrari. There we go. This should be the opportunity here for the Red Bull. Trying to go around the outside there. Has he got the pace? Has he got the pace? Right up against the wall. He's trying to get ahead of him, but the Alpine shuts the door. Red Bull trying to go down the inside now, but once again, good defending here from the Alpine. He's remaining patient. There's the Ferrari in the back there. Last 2 laps to go. Yeah, the Red Bull's got a lot of work to do if he wants to try and find that podium. It's probably gone, to be honest. But 4th better than 5th is there. And we've got Farquhar who is going to move up to the team with the McLaren. He's up on the Alfa Romeo. This should be an entertaining battle. As I said, once again, neither really kind of ignoring the track limits. They're kind of just racing where they want. But the McLaren now right up behind him. Takes a decent amount of speed around the corner here. You should see how the Alfa Romeo will defend. We're going to go on board here with the McLaren. Who smacks away. Oh, he spun and he spun and he spun.
Yeah, that's what you did. Coming and moving me up.
You booted me, man.
The Alfa Romeo pulled away. He's on the
I was literally
pressure.
driving. Next thing I just feel this extra.
Right, well that has allowed an opportunity for the Red Bull to try and potentially maybe see a podium. He's got 4 seconds time making them 2 laps. He's got to manage to get past the Alpine. So a big push here coming from the Red Bull. A late push coming here from the Red Bull. Meanwhile, the Alfa Romeo actually does seem to be gaining on our race leader. So could we see the most unlikeliest of wins from the Alfa Romeo on his debut, rookie season here. DRS is enabled. This could be a big moment in the race here. 1 lap remaining. Yeah, the Red Bull doing a lot to try and rein in this McLaren, but let's go and see what this Alfa Romeo. You can see the Aston Martin over there. And just supporting here, not to make any mistakes here. That's the main thing here coming in from the Alfa Romeo.
Oh, my tyres are so gone. Actually, I should never have changed.
Here come the excuses already. Just trying to make sure that when he does get reeled in, that he's got the excuse in the waiting. I just, at the end of the day, I think the biggest takeaway from this is it should teach me zero accountability across the grid.
Get out the way.
Alfa Romeo, particularly in the wall there, that seems to be falling back a little bit. Do we ask what's happening to the Red Bull here?
It's fine.
It's fine.
Yeah, Miss Mark. No, I spun.
Oh, you spun. That makes sense. That makes sense. Right, well, ladies and gentlemen, we've now, in what we could have never predicted, the Haas is now, sorry, is almost within 10 seconds. He is within 10 seconds of the next person. Meanwhile, the Red Bull is reigning in the Ferrari. This is usually a battle for 1-2. Today is a battle for 5-6. The question is, can the Magic Maori keep them out? Let's go around the outside, the Ferrari. Let's swim in front of him and does decide to give him a bit of a shove.
Wow. Seriously?
Well, the Ferrari's
even
on
touch
press.
your
He
button.
reckons
It's
that the Red
glitching a
Bull's
lot.
done it. And we're going to move up to our race leader, the Aston Martin, who looks like he's going to go all the way, despite bitching about his tyres. Does seem to be fine. A few more corners and he will be winning his first of the season here. That'll definitely even out the points here. Then the Red Bull, the Red Bull disaster class, really. Oh, there we go, a 3-second penalty. All of a sudden, the Alfa Romeo needs to rein in 1 second, and he will be the winner. A 3.3-second penalty, but the Alfa Romeo deciding actually just nah. A 3-second penalty. We're assuming that's for evading track limits. It was quite dirty of the Aston Martin. He's been everywhere.
Careful.
And unfortunately, it doesn't look like the Alfa Romeo is really going to be able to manage to take advantage of that gift.
It does have a time penalty himself, so.
Yeah, but the rules never apply to the entire race. So basically, people, what we're looking at here is there's a lot of time penalties, and we actually don't know who's ending where because you're going to have to sort of update all around the race. So this is the exciting thing at the end of the day. Everybody goes over the line, and then we actually have to reassess and see who's who and who. currently riding on board with the Alfa Romeo, who's starting to bring his time down. As I said, that side to your card to the wall. And there it is, and the Aston Martin crosses the line. Should have the victory. Doesn't have time penalty to surface, as does half the grid, so it should be alright. The Alfa Romeo comes in at second. Lord Farquhar in the McLaren does get a podium. We're going to go back to the Ferrari, who is just battering against the wall here, and it looks like he will actually come in sixth because the time penalty for him right behind it is the Red Bull. He will come in officially at sixth place, but that'll be reassessed. And all the way at the back, the Haas has made it. He has made it. We worried at one stage. We were a little bit nervous he wasn't going to make it.
What?
And the driver of the day does go to the brave defending of the Alfa Romeo.
Oh, yes.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, was another just action-packed
Great race, I must say.
race
That's what
from
I'm talking about,
the
boys.
Forever Sports lads. You know, you couldn't ask for more. I mean, it's definitely going to be more entertaining than whatever you're going to watch on Sunday. So, this is, you've heard of Football Heritage, this is Formula One heritage. Here comes Fernando Alonso.
I'm actually in shock.
There's the Alfa Romeo, did get driver of the day. The McLaren, big grin on the podium there as well. The Champers are coming out.
How can I not see the podium?
It's loading still.
There's the Aston Martin team.
You're not going to see an Alfa Romeo and a McLaren on podium at all this season, so bask in that glory.
Yeah, the Champers is out. And then Aston Martin, well, it went from being first on the, he did take qualifying and from first in the grid to first in the race. There is the final standings there. The Ferrari coming in last with a 9-second penalty.
How?
He asked for what? I think anybody that watched would probably be able to answer that. The McLaren, despite a 6-second penalty, still getting in at third there, and the Red Bull, well, it's a bit of a disaster result down at fifth. That is going to make a lot of changes to the overall standings in the Forever Sports Formula One. The Ferrari's a bit cheeky complaining. It's really standard here, you know. And at the end of the day, what can they change? They can try and change team principles. They can try and find different drivers, but 9-second penalty for basically shit is just something you got to deal with.
I got rammed off the road.
To be fair, I don't think you really respected what they call a racing line. Hello everybody and welcome to Forever Motorsport on Forever Sports. For today's guide on how you can watch the Saudi Arabia Grand Prix on a free-to-air broadcaster this weekend, so you don't miss any of the Formula One action. We saw a pretty electrifying start in the first race with Max Verstappen obviously already demonstrating how dominant he could potentially be this season, but a very big surprise pole for Fernando Alonso, and I think that Aston Martin's going to be quite a lot of fun to monitor this season. And the biggest thing is you don't want to miss any of the action, so this is how you can watch. Now, it is being shown on a free-to-air broadcaster called ORF, which is on an Austrian broadcaster, which means if you are in Austria, then you can watch it without any issues. However, if you are not in Austria, then you can't watch it, but yet you can. And we're going to be using something called a VPN, which is a virtual private network, to be able to watch all the action this weekend. And basically, what you're going to do is you're going to download ExpressVPN. All the links for everything you need are in the description. There's literally a step-by-step guide on what you need to do to be able to watch all the action. So first things first, you're going to download ExpressVPN and you're going to install it. And when you pop it up, it's going to look something like this. So right now, I'm connected to an Austrian server. So on the bottom right-hand side there, you can see these are there's three little dots over here. When you click over those, they bring up a little bar which has all the different location stuff like that. You see like that, there it is. And you can scroll down and you can go to all locations over here. You can go to filter by all the various continents and you can go and find the right one. So we're going to connect to Austria. So because I'm connected right now, I can now currently watch ORF TV, which is an Austrian free broadcaster. And as you can see over here, this is it already in the program. This is it being scheduled on Sunday, being shown on the channel itself. And then what you're going to do is you're going to go to the channel. which is over here. Now, unfortunately, it doesn't pick up the actual video, but it is currently playing. So if I unmute, for example, you can hear what's going on over here. There's kind of a bit of skiing happening. But what happens over here is if, for example, I'm just going to mute that for a bit. If we then turn off our VPN, and we're going to then refresh the page. So we've now turned off the VPN, and you can see it's already not working. It's already stopped working, basically. And if we then refresh the page, you can see there it says it's not available in this region. So basically, to be able to disable that, you just have to reconnect to Austria within your VPN, and you'll be able to watch all the action live this weekend. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments below. But as I said, this is there's a step-by-step description or step-by-step guide in the description, so you should be absolutely fine.
And I have a bit of a sneaky feeling that Max Verstappen does the same thing, but he's so fast, he's so dominant that, I mean, he'd have to be braking to a standstill to be caught by anyone, I think.
Yeah, we'll see what happens in this second practice session, of course. Ferrari were a little bit nowhere, Andrew, in the first. We're expecting them to be a little closer than that, I think.
They are expecting themselves to be a little bit closer than that. They came into the weekend saying they thought this track would suit them better, partly because it's less hard on the tyres in Saudi Arabia than it is in Bahrain, and tyre degradation was their big problem in the race in Bahrain, and also because their car was quick on the straight in Bahrain. But actually, that might be a fallacy in a way, because Fred Vasseur, the team boss, was saying in his news conference that he held on Wednesday that straight line speed is all about choice. In other words, you run less wing, you go faster in the straight, you go slower in the corners, which we all know. But the implication of those remarks, or at least the inference I took from them, was that they've chosen to run less wing in Bahrain. Doesn't necessarily mean the car is inherently quick on the straight like the Red Bull was last year. Also, bad news for Ferrari on the engine front. They've taken 2 new engines, one each for both their drivers, as a precaution, they say, after the failure that caused Charles Leclerc to retire in Bahrain, which has also led to him having a 10-place grid penalty.
But I thought they had attributed the failure to the control electronics.
they have, and that's why it's concerning they've changed the engines as a precaution.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. Right. So yeah. So tough times for Ferrari at the moment potentially. Mercedes in that fight with Aston Martin, which will be very interesting to watch unfold. The sun has set in Saudi Arabia. It's just coming up to 8 o'clock local time, and this is the time that the race will get underway on Sunday afternoon. Verstappen won the Grand Prix last year, only led 6 laps of the 2022 race before he went on to win it, but might lead a few more this season. He's the only driver to have finished on the podium on both occasions on the 2 races in Saudi Arabia. Lewis Hamilton is getting ready to head out in his Mercedes. George Russell sitting at the cockpit of his black Mercedes as well, and they looked like they were a little adrift, to be honest, of the Aston Martins in that first free practice session. About 4/10 slower George Russell was than Fernando Alonso, and the light goes green at the end of the pit lane now. Alonso is the first driver to head out onto the circuit in the Aston Martins. We also saw a lot of soft tyre running from the front runners earlier on. Both Red Bulls deciding to run 2 sets of the soft tyres, and Fernando Alonso as well running 2 sets of the soft tyres. So as a result, they've gone out on the mediums, the Aston Martins, at the start of this session. Sainz and Hülkenberg on the mediums. Sargent and Bottas have gone out on the hard tyres, for those of you wanting to sync up. 59 minutes and 28, 27, 26, 25 seconds to go. Just to... we've had a few emails in the break between the 2 sessions, in principle regarding the sort of regulation chat. So we had quite a big chat about that earlier on, and we won't get too bogged down in it. But James and Mike have both sort of written in. Mike with the email header "impartial Benson," which I quite like. But their sort of suggestion, or their point is that as the longer regulations go on, fields close up. Is that true, or is that a bit of a sporting misnomer that we think? That's what I'm curious about.
It's what everyone in Formula One says, and it's what happened in towards the end of the last set of regulations. So if you look back at a table of comparative performance, you'll see, for example, in 2021, McLaren were only half a second a lap on average off Mercedes over the whole season, whereas now they're more like 1.5 seconds off. And the field spread gap, the gaps between the teams got bigger from 2021 to 2022 as regulations changed. And it also happened in, for example,
towards 2012
a little bit, although what I was about to say is it doesn't always apply, because that's a good example of where it didn't, because in 2013 Red Bull hit on something with their car about a third of the way into the season, and Vettel won every single race in the second half of the year. And actually even in 2012, where it started very competitively, where people remember famously there were 7 different winners from 7 different teams in the first 7 races that year. By the end of the year, Vettel was, in terms of performance, the Red Bull was again dominant. So it doesn't always translate into results, but it does translate into gaps. So does that answer the question?
Yes, I suppose. So do we need to give these regulations more time before we're slamming them in the second year?
Well, we're not. Are we slamming them?
No, I know. I'm being flippant.
I mean, I was just...
We were discussing in pre-practice one that they haven't worked.
Yeah, I was just expressing my opinion based on the facts as we have them at the moment. That the idea of the regulations was to close up the field and make the racing more competitive and allow the cars to race closer together. The final one of those has worked. They can race closer together, but the racing is not more competitive, and the field and the fields is not closer. So in that sense, they have failed. And the other point to make was that the intention was to, this is a sort of secondary point, but almost more important, was that they tried to write the rules to be very prescriptive, so that teams couldn't eke out big gaps over other teams. But Adrian Newey was telling me the other night, when I bumped into him an event in London, that he thinks that actually there are lots of things that they didn't realise were there, the rule makers, that mean you can make a big difference with these rules.
So there we go. Hopefully that answers some of your questions. James also said, can we not accept that half the fun of Formula One is seeing it as the engineering challenge and not just a driver's championship? If you want that, watch GT3, says James. So a fair point, and that's one that I don't really... I'm not too fussed that the cars are different. I think if everyone was in one make cars, it would be a lot of fun, but I accept that there's strong feelings against that. 55.5 minutes to go. Carlos Sainz has done a lap time of 1:31.080. Valtteri Bottas has had a lock-up and gone straight on at turn 1. So has Hamilton. Bottas was on the hard tyres. Hamilton was on the medium tyres. And Yuki Tsunoda has... Oh, he's brushed the wall, I think, on the inside of turn 23 there. Yuki, one of the fastest corners on the circuit. And I think he might have brushed the inside wall before then running wide on the exit of turn 22 and then carrying on his way. Verstappen and Perez are straight out of the pits as well, both of them going out on the both of them going out on the medium tyre. Verstappen's just coming across the line now, and he goes 13th fastest, 23 seconds off the pace. So that was a out and then a prep lap for Verstappen, and now he maybe will be on a push lap on those medium tyres. Pierre Gasly does the fastest first sector of anybody, but in the Alpine, having left AlphaTauri at the end of last season, but the order currently, medium tyre runners, the top 7, Sainz, Alonso, Hülkenberg, Stroll, Ocon, Albon and Zhou. David says, ultimately we need Adrian Newey to leave Red Bull and write the rules. Seems like a reasonable plan, Beck.
Well, actually, Andrew and I were having this conversation earlier because Adrian Newey did leave the team for a little bit and Red Bull did fall away slightly in performance, and then Adrian Newey came back to the team and Red Bull back at the front again. Part of the reason we were having the conversation was because we were talking about Mercedes and how they can recover their form and what they need to do. They've obviously lost some very important people recently. Red Bull have been poaching a lot of their staff. They've lost a few to Aston Martin. James Allison, who's a key figure in that team, he's sort of stepped away from his role. He's still very much with the team, but he's not day-to-day anymore. And perhaps Mercedes needs to do a bit of a Red Bull and pull James Allison back into the team so he's much more involved than he currently is, because it's made a huge difference for Red Bull. I mean, Adrian Newey went off and designed the Valkyrie. Was it the Valkyrie that he was doing? Yeah.
Yeah.
And they missed him.
He did a bit of boats as well, didn't he?
Yeah, he did a bit of the America's Cup as well, didn't he? And they missed him much more than they thought they were going to. And, well, he's had the impact that we all know that he has. I mean, the man's a genius.
Verstappen across the line, do a 1:30.801 on the medium tyres. Takes him almost 3/10 quicker than Carlos Sainz. Sound you can hear now is Lance Stroll getting onto the brakes into the final corner. On the power, up through the gears and towards the line. Stroll and Alonso about to come across the timing beam, and Stroll does a 30.9, which is a 10th slower than Max Verstappen. Alonso coming towards the line now, and he goes fastest, a 1:30.612 on the medium tyres, 2/10 quicker than Max Verstappen on the same tyre, but I'm not falling for that one again after Bahrain. Sainz and Leclerc 4th and 5th, 4 and 6/10 away respectively. Hamilton 7th, again on the medium tyre, but 1 second adrift of Fernando Alonso's time. And Alonso ended up having a bit of a slide at turn 22 and scraping the bottom of the car along the curbs, very close to the wall there for Alex Albon as well, as he came out of turn 18, and he's coming now towards turn 22. The Haas darts dramatically out of the way. Albon's 8/10 down after the first 2 sectors, and the Williams looks moderately midfieldy, I would say, so far. It's only been free practice 1, but these low downforce circuits, or straight line speed circuits rather, were where they performed well last year. Albon finished free practice 1 9th fastest in the Williams, so ahead of the AlphaTauris and the Alpines and the McLarens and the Haas's and the Alfa Romeos. So we'll see what he can do here. He goes 8th fastest, exactly 1 second slower than Fernando Alonso. So potentially some strong performance there from Williams this weekend. A lot of Flovis on on the rear wing. I think it's like, it looks cool enough that it kind of fits in with the car, but I'm pretty sure it is red flow vids rather than just a nice new red rear wing for the weekend. Norris has gone 11th quickest on the hard compound of tyre, 1.7 seconds slower than Alonso, but he was slowest in free practice 1, Lando Norris. No lap time yet from Sergio Perez. He's just come through sector 1, 2/10 slower than Lance Stroll, who has the fastest first sector time. He's now coming through the middle sector. DRS open, slams shut as he swings into the final corner of turn 27. Out across the line, and Sergio Perez goes quickest, a 1 minute 30.428, which is 2/10 quicker than Alonso managed, and Verstappen is going quicker than that in sector 1. Gasly goes 5th fastest on the mediums, only half a second away from Sergio Perez. That feels like the most encouraging lap time from an Alpine that I've seen all season, to be honest, that from Pierre Gasly. Verstappen coming for the middle sector, he's half a second up on Sergio Perez. So much speed through turn 22, and this could be a big lap about to come in from Verstappen. It's only his, it's his second lap of the session, whereas Perez has only done 1 so far. Fernando Alonso's returned to the pit lane. He's the only driver not on circuit. Verstappen right up to the wall on the exit of the final corner at turn 27, and he goes fastest, but only by almost 4/10 of a second. Not quicker than Perez in the final sector there, Verstappen. But once again, Red Bull looking strong.
It's ominous, isn't it?
Yeah.
The word that's banned, almost banned as much as tyres. Yeah, it's not great, is it? I mean, he didn't look that comfortable in the final sector, as you said, wasn't quite as quick as his teammate Perez, but he was half a second up after those first 2 sectors, which is just, I mean, it's a hard pill to swallow for his rivals, isn't it? I just don't know how they come back at him at the moment.
Yeah, it's tough, isn't it? As Verstappen had a bit of a slide coming out of the final corner, got right up to the wall on the exit. Ocon is on a lap at the moment. Hamilton comes through now on the medium tyre, and he's heading down towards turn 1. There is a yellow flag out there in the final sector. It's gone green again now, so someone had a brief incident somewhere on circuit, maybe just running wide at turn 22, as we've seen a number of cars do. Hamilton into the first few corners at turns 4, 5 and 6, and then right up to the wall again through 7, 8, 9 and 10, and then down towards turn 13. First sector split for Hamilton is half a second away in sector 1. And Hamilton did say yesterday that straight line speed isn't where we're struggling anymore like it was last year. Last year we were sort of all right in the corners but slow on the straights. Now Hamilton's saying all the lap time really appears to be in the corners, which is obviously not where you want it to be. You don't want it to be lost anywhere, I suppose, but Hamilton through the middle sector split, and he's now 7/10 away from Max Verstappen. Coming towards the final corner at 27. Oscar Piastri's first sector is 8/10 away from Max Verstappen, but Piastri is on the hard compound tyre. As Hamilton comes through the final turn, up through the gears and towards the line, and he goes 9th fastest, 9/10 of a second away from Max Verstappen at the moment. So you've got Alonso in there in 3rd behind the Red Bulls. Ocon is in 4th, Albon is in 5th, Leclerc is 6th, Gasly 7th, Stroll 8th, Hamilton 9th, Sainz is in 10th. Into the pits comes Piastri at the end of his lap. So 11th is George Russell, Hulkenberg 12th, Joe, Sargent, Piastri the top 15. De Vries jumps up into 13th place, so Piastri drops to 16th, and then it's Norris, Tsunoda, Magnussen and Bottas. Gasly at the moment is improving. He's currently 7th fastest, and he goes up to 4th. So the Alpines, I mean, that is the strongest we've seen from Alpine all season, really, because they said after Bahrain that they sort of didn't really know where they were, Alpine.
Well, they also said that they didn't expect Bahrain to be a good track for them. It hasn't traditionally been a good track for them, so they weren't too disappointed. Well, they were disappointed with the way the race turned out because they had a shocking weekend, but in terms of their absolute pace, they weren't too disappointed with qualifying in the lower reaches of the top 10, which is where Esteban Ocon qualified before he completely messed up his race with a series of unfortunate errors. Pierre Gasly did a really good drive, actually, to come back from the back of the grid to finish 9th. So I think they will be expecting to have a better weekend in Saudi Arabia. Here's some radio from Leclerc.
Hülkenberg or whoever that Haas is. It was a joker.
Yeah, it was the Haas sort of right on the racing line coming through the left-hander of turn 13, and Leclerc had to sweep around the outside of him. Carlos Sainz has had a run wide at turn 22 as well. Currently 7th and 10th fastest, Leclerc and Sainz, but we'll get a bit more of a representative look when they put on some soft tyres a little later on in this session. Verstappen finds a bit more time, and now goes almost half a second clear of Sergio Perez up at the front, with Alonso there in 3rd, Gasly in 4th, Ocon in 5th. That was a question we had earlier on, sorry to whoever tweeted it in. Oscar Piastri, early regrets, do you think, going on right now for Piastri, that he's gone to McLaren and not stayed with Alpine?
Well, let's be clear, he didn't have a chance to drive for Alpine this year. He was going to be farmed out to Williams, was their plan, because their plan, before they completely messed it up...
El plan.
Yeah, exactly. Irony. Was to retain Fernando Alonso alongside Esteban Ocon, and here's some Verstappen radio.
It's just my headrest. I'm laying down too much. I cannot feel the car.
So Verstappen saying his headrest is a problem. He's lying down too much and he can't feel the car, so he wants to be sort of sitting up a bit straighter, I suppose, or with the headrest a little bit higher up. Do continue.
Yes, they wanted Alonso and Ocon in the car, and they were going to keep... The idea was to keep Piastri within their stable and give him a year or two at Williams. The plan that they said they were working on didn't really make a lot of sense, because they were refusing to give Alonso a 2-year contract, which is why he ended up leaving. But they were trying to get Piastri to sign a 2-year contract at Williams. So they never quite explained how they were expecting that to work. Anyway, they lost both of them in the end. So his choice wasn't to be in an Alpine or a McLaren, to come back to your question. It was to be in at Williams or at McLaren. Having said that, that in itself might not be that much of a great choice, because Williams were pretty close to McLaren at times in Bahrain. We haven't really seen McLaren's actual race potential, because Norris had a very difficult race with air pressure leaking constantly, and Piastri was a bit off the pace on his debut in Bahrain. He was lacking confidence in the quick corners in the middle of the Bahrain lap. So
he was kind of coming through before he retired. He was sort of up there, maybe sniffing around a point or something.
Yeah, and he's doing very well so far. He's actually a couple of, or a tenth and a half ahead of Norris. They're down in 17th and 18th places. But so anyway, I think it's a bit early to make a call on whether he's made the right decision on that front. But you know, if you're asking questions about have you made a mistake staying at McLaren, you could apply them to Lando Norris just as much as you could to Oscar Piastri.
Yeah, but Norris has got a 15-year deal or whatever, isn't he?
Yeah, and he doesn't like the suggestion that he made a mistake signing the extra long contract, does he? That didn't go down well when he was asked about that in Bahrain, when it was clear that McLaren wasn't quite the car that it should be. He's adamant that McLaren, well, I mean, what else do you expect him to say? Adamant that they're going to be back at fighting the front of the midfield, as it were, not right at the back. But yeah, I mean, Norris is absolutely convinced that he's done the right thing, wedding himself to McLaren for as long as he has. And Piastri, I mean, I agree with Andrew, it's far too early to say at the moment. He's got to give the team a chance, the team have to give him a chance. You know, I believe it works both ways. McLaren are a strong outfit. I said it during FP1, I just do not understand how they missed their development targets in the way that they have. I don't understand how they've arrived this season with the car as bad as it is. But they are fundamentally a very good team. They do have the personnel to get back to where they should be. So hopefully things will improve down in Woking.
Andrew, is there any because obviously Andreas Seidel was sort of in charge of all, has he kind of managed to dodge a bullet by kind of getting out of McLaren, and so no one's, you know, slamming him for incompetence, and McLaren have messed it up and Seidel's it, because ultimately his kind of McLaren record looks pretty strong.
Well, Andreas Seidel doesn't design the car, does he? And what's happened is that there was a it's to do with the floor edge. You know, we were talking about this in the first practice, to do with another team, but McLaren is another team that's they realised too late that there was a change in floor edge design that they hadn't noticed, which was going to open up a whole new avenue of development. And so when once they realised it was there, they started pursuing it, and they locked in a sort of less competitive first few races car than they would have liked, and they've been quite open about the fact that they missed this development. They should have noticed it earlier. Andrea Stella, the new team principal, said that at the launch of the car. He was saying it in the test before the first race, and he was saying it at the first race weekend as well. Andreas Seidel's got plenty on his own plate, having moved to what is currently called Alfa Romeo, but is actually really Sauber, but actually really Audi, because Audi have now completed the first stage of their buy-in to that team, which is going to end up with them taking a majority shareholding and it morphing into the official factory Audi team in 2026. And I think not enough people have quite realised that although Andreas Seidel has gone there as the chief executive officer of Sauber, he's gone there as an Audi appointment to turn the team into Audi. And obviously Audi are not going to be happy with being, where's Valtteri Bottas at the moment? 20th. So he's got a lot on his plate, so he's yeah.
Oh, Fernando Alonso out of shape through turn 22. He's the first front runner to put the soft tyres on and was improving fastest first and second sectors, but too much speed into turn 22, the fast left-hander, and got out of shape. And so as a result, this won't be, well, he might still improve because he cut the corner effectively, but it comes across the line now, does jump up into second place, but not a legitimate lap time there for Fernando Alonso. I don't know if it'll get deleted because of track limits or anything, but it was a big moment as he came into the left-hander and the back end just started to go a little, and he went straight over in the end in the runoff area, bailed out of it early rather than running out over the curbs.
Well, he's cut the corner, Jack, but I can't imagine that was actually quicker than staying on the track.
No, agreed,
but backed off and had a bit of a brown underpants moment, I think.
I had this argument in with the Formula E race director once because they deleted a lap time for track limits. The guy went off through the gravel, spun, rejoined the circuit, and then finished his qualifying lap, and up it comes, lap time deleted, and you're like, oh, really? But they were like, well, no, he's been off the set. We have to delete all the track limit lap times, otherwise you can't get into a situation trying to judge was it quicker or did he gain an advantage. You just have to delete them all. So it was fair enough on that occasion. Speaking of, and Benson, you can react first to this, Kaylee says, wonder if Lando or Oscar wish they'd gone for the McLaren Formula E team instead.
No, is the answer to that.
Definitely not.
I thought you two would enjoy that one. 37 minutes and 43 seconds left on the clock. So, Verstappen quickest at the moment. He's just left the pit lane on a brand new set of soft tyres. Perez is pushing now, also on a set of softs. Carlos Sainz, did he start his lap on? Maybe he's got a bit of traffic very early on this lap because he'd done his outlap on this set of soft tyres, and he's crawling around now, so maybe some early traffic for Carlos Sainz. Perez, meanwhile, coming through the final sector. In fact, he's just going to be coming past Carlos Sainz as they come down towards turn 27. Sainz keeps out of the way, and Perez comes down into the final corner. Sparks flying from underneath the Red Bull, and Perez is going to be across the line and quickest here. A 1 minute 29.902, 500ths quicker than Max Verstappen managed, but Perez on the soft tyre. Sainz starting a lap now in the Ferrari. Russell starting a lap in the Mercedes also, as they come down into the first couple of corners. Perez keeping out of the way of Sainz. Sainz into the brakes into turns 4 and 5, then into 6 and 7, where he had some big moments. In fact, did he end up in the wall at turn 7 a few years ago, or did you just have a big spin? I can't remember which one it was, to be honest with you. Alonso still in the pits, having done his run on the soft tyre, or his first run on the soft tyre. Sainz is 4 tenths down after sector 1 on Sergio Perez here. Not a personal best for Sainz either in the first sector, so that suggests that he's not hooking it up. But Leclerc's not quick in sector 1 either, to be honest. Oh no, he's 6 seconds off the pace, so whatever has happened to Leclerc has scuppered him in the first sector. What Sainz got through the middle sector, he's done a personal best, but he's 7/10 away from Sergio Perez through sector 2. Verstappen is starting a lap now. Russell goes 6th fastest on the softs, which is slower than the Alpines on the medium tyres. Yellow flag out in the middle sector at turns 15 and 16 and 17, that sort of sequence of corners, which is the sort of flat out meanders that make their way back up towards the turn 22. Can't see, yeah, track's gone green, so I couldn't see a car stop there, but across the line comes Sainz. What was that lap? 1.1 seconds slower than Sergio Perez. It's abysmal if it's true, but maybe there are some mitigating circumstances. Just having a look at Fernando Alonso. He's back in the pits, but he almost had a sort of coming together with Carlos Sainz a little earlier on. But it wasn't particularly dramatic. It was dramatic enough, to be honest, and then I think they got in the way of the Williams as well. So all a bit busy traffic-wise on the streets of Jeddah this evening. 34 minutes and 27 seconds remaining, but that Sainz lap is very concerning. Leclerc's on another push lap. Here he comes then through sector 1 now, and compared to Fernando Alonso, who's got the fastest first sector, Leclerc's 4/10 away from Alonso in sector 1. It's through the middle sector now at turn 13. Still Alonso the only driver in the pits, but he was the first to go out on the soft tyre. Leclerc coming through the middle sector. Lance Stroll's about to start a flying lap, as is Max Verstappen behind him. So Verstappen is out now on his new set of soft tyres, so we'll see what lap time he can do. Leclerc, after the middle sector, 28.6, and loses another 3/10, so he's 7/10 down. He's going to struggle to beat the Alpines lap time on the mediums here. Coming now on the flat-out blast towards the final corner at turn 27. He's currently slower than the Williams of Alex Albon, Charles Leclerc. Comes out of the final corner now, across the line, and Leclerc goes 4th quickest, so he does get ahead of the Alpines, finds a bit of time in the final sector, and as a result is half a second away from Sergio Perez. But we've got Verstappen's time incoming shortly. He's just coming through sector 1 now, and actually might have backed off in sector 1, Verstappen. He's backed off in sector 1, so no improvement coming this time around for him. Hulkenberg goes 4th fastest, 2/10 slower than Perez. We saw that a bit in Bahrain, didn't we? Hulkenberg would just bang random quick laps in a very impressive fashion. So Hulkenberg goes ahead of Charles Leclerc. It's not looking strong for I know, obvious thing to say, but it's tough. They look further away than I thought they were going to be.
I think we can say safely that they're not, you know, I mean, no one shows their full hand in Friday practice, but I think we can safely say that right now, today, with Leclerc at least, Ferrari are not, they're out of kilter with everybody else. There's no way Leclerc is going to be actually slower than Hulkenberg and Gasly in terms of absolute pace. And let's not forget, he's got a 10-place grid penalty. He won't be doing any real, or he won't be concentrating on qualifying running as much as he might have been, although
Surely it's vital.
he will want to qualify as well as he can, because he wants to start as high as he can, even with the penalty. But it still changes the focus of his weekend slightly.
Ocon after the middle sector, just a 1/4 of a second down on Sergio Perez. Ocon on the soft tyres now, coming towards the final couple of corners. As I say, Verstappen yet to do a quick lap on his new set of softs. Albon comes through and is 10th fastest. Not huge lap time jumps from the medium to the softs, it seems, so far. De Vries goes up into 13th place. Ocon goes up into 7th place in the Alpine in the end, as he comes across the line. Gasly still there in 5th position, but Verstappen is starting a lap now. He's coming through turns 4, 5 and 6, and then out towards 7 and 8, down towards the big sweeping left-hander of turn 13. Sound you can hear is the Red Bull, and through sector 1 he is almost 3/10 up on Sergio Perez through the first third of the lap. Down through the gears at 13, and now coming through these meanders at turns 15, down a couple of gears into 17. Piastri jumps up to 15th fastest. Middle sector split incoming for Verstappen as he approaches turn 22 at 205 miles an hour. He's almost 4 tenths up now on Sergio Perez. Hey, Leclerc's first sector, 0.04 slower than Perez. Still a long way off Verstappen, but this is a bit more like it for Charles Leclerc and Ferrari. Verstappen into the final corner. Hamilton goes up to 8th fastest in the Mercedes, quicker than his teammate George Russell. Verstappen goes to the top of the times by 0.3 of a second. How's Leclerc doing compared to Verstappen in the middle sector? Half a second away. So that time has dropped adrift for Charles Leclerc and the Ferrari squad. Sainz is just starting a lap. He's down in 19th quickest at the moment. The field is only separated by 1.4 seconds. So it's pretty tight overall on that front right now. Here comes Sainz across the line. No, sorry, he's only coming through the middle sector. I got a bit too excited. It's Leclerc who's coming across the line. Splits the Alpines. So the first sector didn't look too bad, but lap time just drifted away, and not even a personal best in the final sector for Charles Leclerc. And Gasly's improving again on these same set of soft tyres, I think. Yeah, he's on a second lap. Sainz, meanwhile, is 6 tenths down after the middle sector. Looking strong for Verstappen. Alonso still there in 3rd. 4th quickest is Hülkenberg. Gasly is 5th. Leclerc is 6th. Where is Carlos Sainz going to slot into this equation? 8th fastest. And Gasly improves to go 4th quickest. And they're still finding time, so the tyres are lasting for these hot laps quite comfortably. But the order is now Verstappen, Perez, Alonso, Gasly, Hülkenberg, the top 5. Leclerc, Ocon, Sainz, Hamilton, Stroll, the top 10. Stroll's on a lap. Norris in 11th, Russell 12th, Albon 13th, 14th Magnussen, 15th Joe, De Vries, Sargent, Piastri, Tsunoda and Bottas, the 20 drivers at the moment. Again, still more improvements coming in. Here comes Fernando Alonso out across the line. 3rd quickest currently. Does he get ahead of Perez? He does. Only 2 tenths away from Max Verstappen. Lance Stroll goes into 4th place. Again, the sort of traditional 3 tenths back from Fernando Alonso.
Traditional's a bit strong for the second race of the year. The first one he had 2 broken wrists with. But anyway, that's an encouraging lap for Alonso in terms of competitiveness, because let's not forget that'll be the same set of tyres that he used for his first run, where he had the mistake at turns 22 and 23.
Yeah. But he's still 2 tenths off Verstappen, who didn't even set a personal best in the final sector. So it looks like Verstappen was easing off towards the end of that lap, and he's still 2 tenths up on Alonso, who's in 2nd. So isn't that worrying?
And free practice 2 in Bahrain last weekend was when we all got a bit too excited.
Of course it's worrying. I don't think anyone's under any illusion, are they, that Verstappen's going to romp away with this weekend as well. But I was just saying, beside Verstappen, you know, where, you know, it's not a bad time, is all I'm saying, considering it's the 2nd lap on a pair of tyres that will be past their best.
And we all want to see Fernando Alonso up there, so I'll take it.
And you didn't even use the joke.
Yeah, I know, I'm saving it. I'm saving it till later. Can I ask you a question about Alonso, though? Because I got thinking in Bahrain about him, and he did some brilliant racing. We saw it, you know, reminiscent back in the days of 2007, him on Hamilton going wheel to wheel, the move he did on Russell. And I've been thinking about this ever since Bahrain. Fernando Alonso, Lewis Hamilton, they're pretty old-school drivers because they didn't have DRS back at the start of their careers. Is that why they're so good? Because they grew up racing in the top tier of single-seater racing without DRS? Is that what makes them so good? Do we have these younger drivers now who are too reliant on DRS for overtakes?
I don't know is the answer, if that's the reason why. But what I would say is that I think good as Hamilton and Alonso are at racing, I don't think that there's anything wrong, for example, with the racing skills of Verstappen, although he's a bit aggressive, or Leclerc, for example, who was, if you think about the couple of races that he's had at Silverstone, when he was defending against Verstappen in 2019, was it? And then last year against Perez and Hamilton with the old tyres and overtaking Hamilton around the outside of Copse on old tyres and stuff. he's pretty spectacular when it comes to racing. So I think it's just about talent more than DRS particularly.
No, it's an interesting question, because Verstappen never had DRS, did he? Because he went straight from European Formula 3 up to Formula 1, and that first year he was, well, look, he's always been a bit aggressive, hasn't he? With the Oscar Piastri was coming up to an AlphaTauri and a Ferrari, both going sort of fairly slowly, and he did that thing on the that you do on the motorway, where you go, oh, I could just go through the middle of them here, but then you realise you probably shouldn't. It's not going to end well. Here's George Russell's radio. Okay, he swore, and I don't know referring to what, so...
And a hand wave. He was not a happy bunny, was he?
He's gone fourth quickest, actually, Russell, in all of that. I don't think I mentioned it. So Russell goes fourth quickest, which is not too bad for the Mercedes gang. Gasly fifth, Stroll sixth, Hülkenberg seventh, Ocon eighth, ninth and 10th, the Ferraris of Leclerc and Sainz. Oh yeah, that was it, when Verstappen entered F1. Didn't he go like around the outside of, was it Sainz at Blanchimont or something?
We need to make some big changes. Yeah, copy.
Russell's saying we need to make some big changes.
Wasn't it a Sauber? Wasn't it Felipe Nasr?
Oh yeah, it was. Yeah, I think it was Nasr. You might be right.
No, I'm not saying all young drivers are.
No, but I don't
on
mind
DRS.
it as a sweeping statement.
No. I mean, Verstappen's a pretty special talent, as we all know. He's an unbelievable driver. Leclerc, I don't think is as good, but is a very special driver as well. But I just wonder sometimes if some of these drivers on the grid are too reliant on DRS.
Yeah. Well. Well,
I don't know the answer, by the way.
No, I know, but I like it as a question. But then you wonder, well, actually, do you have to be reliant on DRS? Because that's the way it goes. You know, we often see people not making an overtake when they could, because actually you're better off to wait until you get DRS.
But wouldn't it be more exciting sometimes if we had more Fernando Alonsos doing what they do?
Yeah. Hate DRS. I hate DRS.
Well, what was interesting about that battle was that he had decided he was going to struggle to get past Hamilton in the usual places, although I think he was probably over-egging that problem slightly, because he made a mistake at the apex of turn 4, which is what allowed Hamilton to get back past him when he had overtaken him in that, which was a traditional place there. But what he said after the race, anyway, was that he was actually struggling for straight-line speed in Bahrain, because Aston Martin had chosen a higher downforce setup than most of the other teams. So he was having to look, he felt he was having to look for other places to get the moves done, to make them stick in the way that he wasn't being able to make them stick at the usual turn 1 and turn 4 spots. So that kind of led him into that move, or to try that move. And I don't know, Jack, did we work out whether we'd ever seen anyone in Formula 1 overtake into turn 10 before?
Oh, I'm sure I've seen it, but in the early days of Bahrain. I didn't actually look it up. Hashtag BBC F1, come on, help me out, all of you people. I'm sure it was like Tony Oliuzzi and Giancarlo Fisichella or something in like 2000 and, I want to say 7 or 8, when they had the white lines on the tyres. That's I think something like that happened at some point.
But I suppose that's the point of my question, that we just don't see sort of different racing. We get the DRS chicken, which we're obviously not going to get here because they've moved the DRS line now. But it's just, we don't see enough of that. We don't see maybe enough challenge, enough fighting, enough... I'm not a fan of DRS, is probably the point I'm trying to make. But I want to see, you know, what Andrew was saying about what Fernando was saying after the race. That's really interesting to get into the mind of the racer and listen to what he says and where he's exploring areas. And, you know, there's tiny, that, you know, they see gaps that, I'm definitely not going on a moto with you, Jack, but they see gaps that the rest of us don't see. So I find it really fascinating to see him, you know, at the age of 41, he's clearly not lost any of his racecraft. He's absolutely superb, at the top of his game still. And I love watching him race. I just wonder if there's still that sense that, you know, the go-karter in him, or having come through the series, the lower, you know, back in the day when they were GP2 and all that. I don't know, I just wonder sometimes if the younger guys don't quite have that edge, maybe. And I'm not including Verstappen and Leclerc in this, but... And I appreciate the point about talent.
No, it's really interesting. Because Alonso actually didn't come up through the sort of traditional means, did he? What did he win? Formula 3000 by Nissan?
Hang on. Are we going to allow Andrew free reign on Fernando Alonso's career?
He won Open Nissan or whatever it was called.
Formula Renault Open Nissan.
What became Formula Renault 3.5 in his latter days. And then he went straight to Formula 3000, did 1 year there.
Oh, he did do a year in F3000.
Not that great a team, but he won at Spa, and then went into Formula 1 from there.
Yeah.
Have you written his biography yet?
He's actually writing his own book, but it's been delayed. I was actually asking his
for Christmas.
No, I was talking to his manager or his best friend actually, Alberto, the guy with curly hair. If people seen on telly, there's a guy with curly hair hanging around in the back with Alonso. That's Alberto, and he was saying that they delayed it because they decided they couldn't reveal everything they wanted to reveal about the McLaren Honda years, so they decided to put it on ice.
You got to wait till you've properly retired, I think.
Which is a shame because, I mean, because it's the
want to read it now.
Yes, exactly. All that stuff about Spygate, for example, and Singapore, and just that's going to be if he. Do you
think it's going to be true?
Well, that's the whole question, isn't it? Is it if he says everything he could say, it's going to be an absolute blockbuster. Because my first question was, is it going to be in English or is it just going to be in Spanish first of all? But that's how we got onto it.
Have you not offered to ghostwrite it?
Well, they've already found someone to write it, obviously, so that otherwise, you know, I would like to write a Fernando Alonso book, I have to be honest. I think it's a great story.
Wonder who they've got to ghostwrite it. Ed Straw. Maybe it'll be Ed Straw and it'll end up being the 10 best Fernando Alonso races in the Minardi or something like that. Great content as ever from Ed and the gang. 19 minutes on the clock.
Ed can't actually hear you now. Do you know that?
Oh no, he can't because we're not on the Formula 1 app anymore. Yeah, that's a shame.
So we can say whatever we like about him.
There's also a journalist called James Roberts who's very disappointed that he can't listen to us anymore because he, after every session, if I saw him in the paddock, he'd be like, oh, I loved you destroying Benson today. Oh, loved it. Please keep doing it, even though I can't listen. So we still have to do it. We still have to keep up appearances. Speaking of DRS chicken, Simon said just getting dinner ready, and he's found the recipe for DRS chicken. It's just got a little bit less wing than normal, which I didn't think was too bad. I thought that was a good effort, Simon. 18 minutes to go. Let me read you the order. Max, I don't know why I asked permission, but I'm going to. Max Verstappen quickest on a 1:29.603. 2 tenths quicker than Fernando Alonso. Third, Sergio Perez, 3 tenths further back. 4 tenths to Ocon in fourth. George Russell about 4 tenths away in 5th position. Gasly in 6th, less than half a second away from Verstappen. Same is true of Stroll in 7th place. Hülkenberg in 8th. Then it's Leclerc and Sainz, the 2 Ferraris, in 9th and 10th. Hamilton in 11th. Norris in 12th. 13th Tsunoda, 14th Albon. 15th is Kevin Magnussen, and then Joe De Vries, Sargent, Piastri and Bottas, the 20 runners. Interesting question here, and well, I'm interested in both of your opinions. David says, I'm new to F1, and regarding Hamilton, is it ever just the driver going through a patch of not driving as quickly? Most sports, it seems like the athlete has a patch where they just can't perform to their usual standards, a slump in form. But in F1, like, it's always sort of the car's fault, which I think is a very interesting, you know, so I think people will look at him, oh, Hamilton's no good this year, for example.
It's a good question from David. I think you can argue that everyone has bad weekends, bad couple of races. It definitely happens. The thing that's a bit different with Formula 1 is that every team obviously has 2 cars. So you can get a bit of a sense if someone's having a bad weekend or a good weekend. And, you know, it's the old adage within F1, you can only ever beat your teammates. So if both cars are off the pace, it's probably unlikely that they're both having a bad weekend, and so you can probably put it down to the car. You also just get a bit of an idea over the course of the season how the car's performing. You know, we've spoken about McLaren already. They're not doing great so far. Mercedes is struggling, we know that. Actually, should we touch on the Toto Wolff press conference that happened while we're talking about Mercedes, actually? But yeah, David, just to answer your question, yeah, you absolutely can have bad races, bad couple of races. You know, everyone has personal lives and issues that can take hold sometimes, but these guys are professional athletes like in any other sport, and once they're in the car and the visor comes down, they are extremely competitive.
But we never really... I don't know, sometimes I agree with that often there's always this assumption that drivers are getting the most out of the cars every weekend, or that the quickest driver out of the two of them is getting the most out of it. And I think it's really interesting that sometimes the sort of driver performance gets a little lost in the car performance. And I know it's so intrinsic in Formula One that it's a little bit different, but I do find it really interesting. I mean, last year Daniel Ricciardo suddenly, well, last 2 years, here's Charles Leclerc's radio.
What happened?
I will come back to you.
Yeah, let me know if I can go on power or...
I will come back to you. For us, everything is fine. You can continue.
So engine was...
Well, there was a problem with the clutch pedal, but okay.
So Leclerc having a bit of a problem with the clutch paddle, I think he said, which he struggled with in Bahrain, actually, pulling out of the garage. But yeah, sometimes I feel like it's a bit appreciated, the importance of drivers in Formula One, which I know sounds a bit stupid, but when you look at, you know, so much of the leap, in my opinion, for Aston Martin this year, well, a decent chunk of it will be Alonso.
Yeah, well, you know, when you go to the races and you speak to all the drivers, I actually tend to find that they're pretty honest when they've had a bad race. So, you know, you speak to, so obviously I speak to a lot of the British drivers working for a British newspaper, the likes of Lando Norris, George Russell, they actually tell you, oh, I've had a bad day, I made mistakes, it was my fault, just had an off day. So I actually tend to find that they're quite honest. Lewis Hamilton says it as well, perhaps, you know, he apologises to the team, I wasn't quite there. So, yeah, everyone has bad days and the like, but I actually tend to find that they are honest about it, to kind of say, you know, just a bad one, let's not write me off now. Yeah. Oh, so should we talk about Wolff?
But then it never becomes a, you know, so-and-so in bad patch. They just say, oh, I had a bad day, and then everyone sort of moves on. You know what I mean? Well, they almost do their own PR for themselves.
Well, I think actually at the start of last season, when Mercedes rocked up with what looked like a sled, basically, it was so slow. And Lewis Hamilton, everyone was questioning, you know, whether he'd lost it, how he's going to come back. Was he going through a bad patch? Then obviously Saudi was probably his worst qualifying performance on just pure pace that he's possibly had in his career.
Yeah, he was out in Q1,
He was out in Q1, it was awful. And so everyone was questioning him. Was he going through a bad patch? And then, you know, later as the season progressed, Mercedes turned around and said, actually, we're using him as a guinea pig, we're trying different parts, we perhaps haven't got it quite right. But, you know, Lewis Hamilton got written off at the start of last season. Not by me, I'd like to say. I don't think suddenly within 2-3 months he'd turned into a bad driver. But there was certainly a lot of questions about, you know, was he going through a bad patch at that time?
What about his team boss?
Toto Wolff. Thanks, Jack. Nice segue. So, a very interesting press conference.
You can use some of these on the podcast if you want.
Thanks, inside the Piranha Club. Yeah, thanks. So, there was a press conference of the team principals in between these two practice sessions, and Toto Wolff, who is being very honest of late, isn't he? He was asked, because the big question for Lewis Hamilton on Thursday was, what happens if it's clear to you that Mercedes aren't going to deliver you a car in which you can win your 8th world title, which is obviously why he's still in the sport. And there have been lots of questions about where he's going to go, what teams he could possibly join. Lewis Hamilton came out, he said, I'm a Mercedes driver, I've been with them through all my career. He talks about Mercedes because they were supplying the engines when he was winning at McLaren. And then Toto Wolff was obviously asked about this as well. And a very, very interesting quote from Toto Wolff. He said, I don't think Lewis will leave Mercedes, but if he wants to win another championship, he needs to make sure he has the car. And if we cannot demonstrate that we are able to give him the car in the next couple of years, then he needs to look elsewhere. I don't think he's doing that at this stage, but I will have no grouch if that happens in a year or two. That's Toto Wolff basically saying we need to provide Lewis Hamilton with the car, or we have to accept that he goes somewhere else. And, you know, Fernando Alonso is basically showing at 41, you can go up onto the podiums, you can, you know, let's hope he goes on to win a race this season. Lewis Hamilton's 38, you know, maybe he's past the peak of his career. He certainly doesn't seem to be. You know, drivers of his caliber, they can extend much longer than other drivers. But it's a really interesting comment by Wolff, who is accepting not only that their car is a dud again this year, but that actually he may be about to lose his star driver. And he's, what was his word? No grouch. I do love the translation into English that he uses sometimes.
Yeah. But there's no, I mean, but he can't have a grouch, can he? If Hamilton's like, well, because he's only here to win an 8th title. Everyone's only here to win. And so if he can't, and it's kind of becomes obvious that he can't, then why would he stay?
Well, why would he stay? And actually, he's out of contract at the end of this season, so Mercedes need to be putting something in front of Lewis Hamilton that reassures him that they are going to provide him with the car in the next couple of years. But, you know, we've been talking about regulations. They probably can't produce a car for him until 2026 when the regulations change. They're not going to make up. You know, Hamilton was saying it's a 2.5 seconds to Red Bull. They're not going to make that up over the course of this season, even though it's the longest ever in terms of race numbers. So where does he look? Is he even going to sign again with Mercedes? I think he will. I think he'll stay. Loyalty is a huge thing for Lewis Hamilton, and he will want to show his loyalty to Mercedes. He wants to stay within that stable, but I think Mercedes need to be proving to him, like I suppose, you know, when Niki Lauda went and knocked on his door when he was at McLaren and said, look, here's our plan to give you all these championships. I think they need to be doing that again. I think they need to be sitting him down and saying, we are certain we can build you the car. Verstappen radio.
My chances are really, really bad.
Stand by.
It's just super long, the whole downshift procedure.
Is there a specific corner, Max?
Last corner is really...
So the downshift's taking a long time for Max Verstappen as he's out there on a long run. But there comes a point, doesn't there, where what can you say to, like, getting him to convince him to come along to Mercedes? One thing, oh, we've got this great plan, we're hiring these people, yeah, cool. I don't know, what can you say to him if you're told, oh, you know, we promised to be better?
Perhaps they just need to listen to him.
Well, yeah, that's very true. That's very true. 9 minutes and 13 seconds left on the clock.
And so now, for the moment within FP2 that we are all waiting for, the most exciting part of not just Friday practice, but the whole weekend.
The whole weekend.
Are you ready for this?
Long Run Corner with Andrew Benson.
Did you enjoy that, doing it for the first time?
So much. Can I do it again? Can I come back every Friday? Oh, no. Producer Paddy says no.
No.
Do you know what? We spent all day talking about how dominant Red Bull are.
No, don't do this to me, Benson. Do not do this to me.
I've got some really interesting numbers here. Okay.
They better be interesting.
On the soft tyre, unfortunately, there's quite an even split between the field, and I'm now not charting any more times because obviously I'm talking, so we're going to have to stop after this. But on the soft tyre, Max Verstappen, after 6 flying laps, 1 minute 35.176 average. Carlos Sainz, 1 minute 35.169.
Whoa.
And on the Mercedes aren't as quick. They're doing 35.4 for Russell and 35.6 for Hamilton. And on the medium tyre, Sergio Perez, 35.347 average. Fernando Alonso, 35.213 average. Charles Leclerc, 35.25. Looks pretty even on race pace.
And
don't know how, but it does. Those are the numbers.
I don't think Verstappen's pushing at all.
Well, he can't be looking at that, can he? Given he was like 7/10 quicker than Leclerc in Bahrain. But anyway, those are the numbers.
But he literally did this on Friday in Bahrain as well, didn't he? He was, you know, he was basically just dawdling around, finding the lines that he wanted to find, but doing it at half the speed of everyone else. And, well, we saw how the weekend unfolded.
Well...
Oh, no, have we made Long Run Corner? Is it redundant now?
Oh, it's always been redundant. Interesting. And so, sorry, remind me, where was Alonso in that?
So Alonso is a 10th quicker than Perez, and Leclerc is between them. And Verstappen and Sainz are basically doing the same speed.
Oh, okay, because Alonso's out. He was out he is out on the medium
Perez,
tyre.
Leclerc and Alonso on the medium, Verstappen and Sainz and Mercedes drivers on the soft.
Okay.
But straight line speed isn't the issue, is it? It's the corner. I mean, this is why Red Bull was so dominant in Bahrain, because they're so fast through the slower medium corners. And we don't really have any corners here, and there wasn't really an argument about straight line speed with the Ferraris, which is why we thought they would be slightly closer, or as your numbers are suggesting, they are closer. So that's a good sign. We can all get excited again, and then on Sunday night we can all be disappointed again.
Sounds about right.
Whether there's a race weekend or not. 6 minutes and 10 seconds to go. I don't even know what I mean by that. Just felt like a thing to say. Lando Norris has returned to the pit lane. Everybody else is still out on circuit. Charles Leclerc, oh, he's had a big swapper. That is coming into this, honestly, this circuit. I think it's turn 4, where a big slide on the rear for Charles Leclerc, and then he had to go through the runoff area. Nick de Vries in the AlphaTauri has just come through turns 1 and 2, and then had Hamilton emerge just ahead of him, and de Vries taking some mildly evasive action in the AlphaTauri team. And look, it's not very often this happens, but Franz Tost was very interesting in his in the team principal press conference earlier on today, Andrew. Nothing against Franz Tost, but it's rare that, you know, I don't know how to say this now without sounding mean.
What are you trying to say?
He's not. He's the headlines.
He's a boss of a team that literally no one cares about. That's why he's not interesting.
Yeah. Impartial Benson?
Yeah. Anyway, he has actually been interesting today. And by the way, everyone, Franz Tost is a very nice person. I like him a lot. He's very straightforward, Franz, and this is exactly what he's been today. We expected a much better car, he said. We need to make the car faster, especially on the aerodynamics. And he says he doesn't trust the engineers anymore because what they tell him never turns out to be true. There's not enough downforce, the car's unstable under braking, it overheats the rear tyres, it's washing out at the apex, and then it hurts traction. Everything that you need to do a good lap time, he says, we don't have.
I mean, it's honest. I mean, if you think Wolf's being honest, I think Tost has gone a different level.
Yeah. Tost does come out with some amazing stuff. Like at times, it's just...
He's the one who wants a race like every day, isn't he? So there can't be too many races for Franz Tost.
Yeah, exactly. I remember I don't know if I can tell this story now.
Too late, carry on.
So it was the you know what, here's Leclerc's radio.
Is everything okay, engine wise? We'll come back to you.
If you're Leclerc, you must be starting to get, you know, like a bit paranoid about the reliability, right?
Yeah, every shake, rattle, you're just fearing for the worst. And we were talking about it in FP1. Frepsser, the new team principal over at Ferrari, one of his biggest jobs now is going to be making sure the drivers have their heads down, their morale is high, but they've got confidence in that car because, you know, we're seeing these speedometers hit 300 kilometers an hour, and if you don't have faith in your car, that's bad. Anyway, Jack, let's go back to the story. Come on, that you don't want to tell, which means it's a good one.
No, it's not that great. It was just that after, and it's all. So after free practice 1. Was it ahead of free practice 1, before free practice 2 in Saudi Arabia last season? So after...
This is not starting well this time.
We can see anything. Can you be a bit more specific what happened or where?
No, I think it was maybe a big surge.
Understood.
So that's the Ferrari team saying that they aren't 100% sure what they're seeing, and Leclerc saying maybe it's just a big surge. 9th and 10th quickest at the moment, the Ferraris. Leclerc ahead of Sainz, but on the long runs looking a little more competitive. Max Verstappen's going to end the session quickest. We've only got 2 minutes and 15 seconds to go.
So tell the story.
Okay, I'm going for it, right. So before free practice 2 last year, obviously there had been the strike over, you know, near the circuit, and there was the drivers' meeting, right? And everyone's going to the drivers' meeting, and I'm sure you both remember it. It's a big deal. Tsunoda had no idea it was happening. He was like in the car getting ready for FP2, and then they were like, why isn't Yuki at the drivers' meeting? It was like, what drivers? So then he had to go running up the paddock because I didn't get invited or whatever, or didn't get the memo that there was this big important drivers' meeting going on, which I found quite. I just find it like he's ready to go ahead of FP2. You know, like in the car, and visor coming down, and all the other drivers are in there discussing this missile strike and everything, and Yuki's like, oh, what?
I'm really glad I pushed for that story.
It wasn't good. I know it wasn't good.
No.
It was one of those that didn't feel
Sorry,
good
listeners.
or interesting, and also
really
I wasn't
bigged it
sure
up,
if I was
though.
allowed to say it. I never know what I'm allowed to say or not allowed to say on the radio. I just guess and go for it. Less than a minute to go. Well, like, when is something off the record or not? That's that's where I'm scared of getting caught out.
I mean, he was literally on camera in the car while the other 19 drivers were at the
was he?
meeting. Yeah,
Oh, I don't remember that.
It was quite well known.
Oh, fine.
Well,
Oh,
it was
right.
like the longest 4 hours of my life waiting for a resolution to come. So, actually, not as long as the 4 hours after 2021 in Abu Dhabi.
Well, true. Or surely during 2021 Spa. That was long.
I've chosen to forget that. That was horrific. And cold and wet.
30 seconds to go, and I'm sure you're all going to be very disappointed with my story as well. So please don't be too mean. If I'd have just said it as a throwaway, then it would have been fine. But I got a bit scared of saying it out loud. Verstappen quickest, Alonso second, Perez third, Ocon fourth, Russell fifth. That's the top five as the checkered flag comes out at the end of the session. Pierre Gasly sixth, Stroll seventh, Hülkenberg 8th, 9th and 10th for the Ferraris of Charles Leclerc and Carlos Sainz. Hamilton 11th, Norris 12th, 13th Tsunoda, 14th Albon, 15th Kevin Magnussen, Joe, De Vries, Sargent, Piastri and Bottas, the 20 drivers. And again, it's really tight, the field. It was in free practice 2, I think, in Bahrain, just 1.4 seconds separating Verstappen down to Bottas. But again, these were very... I don't know, it feels very reminiscent of free practice 2 in Bahrain, doesn't it? Where suddenly, it all looks a bit closer and maybe we've got a fight on our hands.
Yeah, but we know we don't.
I know.
Sorry, I'm supposed to big it up, aren't I?
No, not at all. You're done with us now for the weekend, so you can be like, you don't have to sell the coverage over the remainder of the weekend.
But I'll be
fine.
listening.
Will you?
Yeah, of course.
Oh, that's very kind.
I always listen.
Oh, that's very kind. Thank you. Checkered flag is out. Verstappen takes the checkered flag. Alonso finishing in second place. The Ferraris are a bit of a mystery. In that session, being so far off the pace on one lap pace, but there or thereabouts in the race runs. Andrew, what do you make of it?
Well, it's a bit early in the season to be sort of confidently making predictions about this and that, isn't it? Because we've only got one sample of evidence from Bahrain. On the face of it, I would say that Ferrari are not going to qualify 9th and 10th, and they must be running in a different spec than everybody else. I think the big
running their engine turned down because they're worried about reliability.
Exactly, that's exactly what I was going to say. I think the big takeaway from today, or at least the last 2 or 3 days, on Ferrari is that they're in a world of pain on reliability again. That, I think, is as much a concern for them as their performance. Race pace, as we said, the performance doesn't look too bad. So I expect that they'll qualify somewhere close to the front. The Aston Martin looks in decent shape, and pretty much no one else, even though it's close.
Are you expecting Mercedes to be closer to the... Like, are they the same as Ferrari in terms of we're expecting more pace, or they're about where you'd expect?
Russell in 5th is about where you'd expect, yeah. Exactly. Hamilton's had a bit of a difficult day, obviously, in 11th place. He's half a second behind Russell. That's obviously not representative of what he's capable of. There's nothing to choose between those two in qualifying. I would say we're not seeing a vastly different picture from Bahrain, basically.
I was just going to say, maybe Hamilton's having a bad day.
Yeah, maybe. Just getting a look at Carlos Sainz coming through turns 4 and 5 and having to take a bit of evasive action around Sergio Perez coming into the next left-hander. Actually, Perez didn't know he was there at all. Very nearly collided because Perez then turned into the left-hander. Had a little check of both mirrors, to be fair, and then suddenly turned left and he was right there, Carlos Sainz. So that was a bit of a moment for Perez. So Alpine looking strong, finishing 4th and 6th quickest. Did you do any long run Alpine? No, fine. Fine, understandable, and we'll see what and any AlphaTauri long run pace Andrew.
Now you're having a laugh.
We're always having a laugh.
I've already said what people think of Alpha.
Yeah, exactly.
May have gone a bit far with that remark, but anyway, it's said now. It's out there.
Yeah, you can't
take it back.
Can't take it back. So, the race gets underway on Sunday afternoon. We'll be back for free practice 3 tomorrow afternoon, and then qualifying in the evening, 6 o'clock local time in the UK time, 8 o'clock local time. If that makes any sense in Saudi Arabia for that to get underway. Beck, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me. Yeah, it was great. And if I'm ever invited back, at least I know, and the listeners know, I won't be fed cheese.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, that's it's good to know. So good to get that one out of the way pretty early on. I think we did it with Sam Bird as well. I think it's the first thing he got asked. So if you want to find out Alice Powell's favourite cheese, join us tomorrow for the 3rd practice session and qualifying, and we will speak to you then. And there'll be a post-race, post-qualifying podcast as well tomorrow evening, and a post-race podcast on Sunday as well, of course. So Verstappen quickest, Alonso second, but long-run pace looking fairly close between Verstappen and the Ferraris. A lot to still be determined when we come back for free practice and qualifying tomorrow. This has been an IMG production for BBC Radio 5 Live.